Welcome back. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb in with you early on this Monday morning. It's about 12 minutes after 7 o'clock. And as we are watching these storms that are rolling through our area today, we're going to be with you streaming here on 11 Alive Plus throughout the morning. I'm going to be holding down the fort for a bit. Chesley is getting some things done in the studio right now. He and I will be joining you together in the studio once these storms get a little bit closer. We're going to walk you through this hour by hour and minute by minute as these storms roll into our area. As you know, there is an 11 Alive weather impact alert in effect for today. We issued this last week in anticipation of these storms that would be rolling in during the day today, and this is mainly going to be through the morning hours today and into the afternoon when this main line pushes into our area. You can see what we're watching here with these just general showers over us right now. We were watching a couple of showers, and when I drove in really early this morning, I really just had a couple of raindrops on the windshield here and there. So the morning commute for most people is actually okay at this hour. We have been watching a few showers though up in parts of North Georgia. Some of those were stronger a little bit earlier, and you can see this is the main line that is pushing into our area. It still has a ways to go before it gets into Northwest Georgia. You can see these heavier showers right now over Huntsville, and then stronger storms back along the Mississippi and Alabama line as the system is really kind of cranking up there a little bit more. We have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings there, as well as a tornado warning about to cross over the line from Mississippi into those areas of western Alabama. I'm going to reset this for you here so we can kind of see what we're talking about here in the Metro Atlanta area and in parts of North Georgia. Those were the showers that we were watching just a little bit earlier that clipped parts of near Dalton. Actually, it was this right here up in the Tennessee and North Carolina area that clipped Northwest Georgia a little bit earlier. And it wasn't severe, but the National Weather Service did issue a special weather statement with heavy rain and some winds that could have been about 40 miles an hour a little bit earlier, but that's now up into Tennessee and North Carolina. We have a couple of showers here in Gilmer County, another one over in Union County. I want to zoom in just a little bit tighter to these so you can see what we're watching there in North Georgia. This is around Higdon where we have that heavier shower, not severe, just a good downpour coming down there in the northern parts of Fannin County. And then this shower north of Suches, this is pushing over into areas of White County, getting closer to Blairsville. That's going to keep moving on off to the east as well, and will really stay up in parts of North Georgia. We don't expect anything major in Atlanta really for the next couple of hours here, as we're going to see those showers, those storms that are over in Alabama still taking a little while before they make it into our area. We do have a couple of showers that we're moving into parts of Randolph County there. As those move into areas of Heard County, they're actually showing signs of weakening, so nothing too active out there right now, but this is that main line of storms that we're watching here throughout the morning hours in Alabama. That heavier rain into Huntsville that stretches on down into Mississippi. There's that tornado warning, and just within the past couple of seconds here, it was just showing right there along the line. Now the National Weather Service has issued a new warning into western Alabama for a tornado, a potential tornado that is pushing through those areas right now. In fact, we can zoom in a little bit tighter to that just to give you some areas of where that is. So again, here is Birmingham right here at the side of your screen. This is all the way over into parts of western Alabama where this cell has a potential tornado with it. That is moving toward Millport, south of Vernon, Alabama, if you're familiar with those areas there. I know that we have a lot of people who have students over at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. That's down here. So this particular part that is prompting the tornado warning is well to the north of Tuscaloosa, but still these storms will be moving through the rest of the areas of western Alabama throughout the morning hours, and then eventually they'll move our way. So really what we're watching is an elongated area of storms. We have this first part, that's around Huntsville now. That's going to be the first thing that moves into Northwest Georgia within the next couple of hours here. But then this is that main part of the line back into Mississippi and into western Alabama, prompting those warnings now. It is still going to take a while before that makes it into the metro area. That still has to cross all the way through the state of Alabama before before it eventually is going to be pushing into our area. So an elongated line there. This part of it is kind of in advance of that main part, which is still back here. And all of that is what we're going to have to be watching as it continues moving our way. And that extends down into areas of South Alabama, South Mississippi here, and it'll eventually make it into the Florida Panhandle. We have another tornado warning there in the Mississippi and Louisiana line. That is, here's New Orleans right here. So there's that tornado warning right there on the state line there between Louisiana and southern Mississippi. And then that stretches back on through the rest of Louisiana and into the Gulf Coast. So as you can see, really a lot of people are going to be impacted by these storms as they push through the southeast, and eventually they will be making it into the Atlanta area a little bit later on today. The yellow areas that you see here, those larger, kind of like boxes or larger areas that you see, is where we have severe thunderstorm watches that are in effect. We have numerous severe thunderstorm watches, and then of course the smaller polygons that you see here in yellow, those are the severe thunderstorm warnings. And then the red polygons, you see that one here that I mentioned there on the Louisiana-Mississippi line, and then this one coming in from eastern Mississippi into western Alabama, that is a tornado warning there. Those red, smaller polygons is where we have those tornado warnings, and we'll be keeping an eye on those as they move our way. Now, right now, there are no tornado watches in effect. So far, they are severe thunderstorm watches, and this one in Alabama does extend into northwest Georgia. Now, here we are in Atlanta. We are not included in that severe thunderstorm watch at all. But as you can see here, we do have this part right here in northwest Georgia, Dade County, also Walker County, Catoosa County, and Chattooga County. Those counties are included in this severe thunderstorm watch that's going to be in effect until 1 o'clock in the morning. And so far, we get from the Storm Prediction Center what is called a mesoscale convective discussion. And they've highlighted this area of northwest Georgia. And there may be other spots in northwest Georgia where this watch could either be extended to include more counties later, or they may issue a new watch to include more counties in parts of North Georgia, Northwest Georgia, and potentially into the Metro Atlanta area just a little bit later on this morning. So that is what we're going to be watching here throughout the morning with these storms that are going to be pushing through our area a little bit later on this morning. So really between now and 3 o'clock, this is where we have this weather impact alert that's in effect. Even though things are quiet right now, we want you to be on alert and be aware as these storms are going to be moving in a little bit later on today. The main threats that we're watching are going to be pockets of heavy rain and some strong wind possible with this. There is a tornado risk, but it is on the lower end. So what we want you to do throughout the day, be aware of this, stay alert. Be sure that you have the wireless emergency alerts on your phone activated. So if a tornado warning or even a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your area, you will get that alert on your phone. If your phone is inside one of those polygons, it will alert your phone of any of those warnings that are out there. Of course, you can also download our app, the 11 Alive app, on your phone as well. Enable alerts on that app. And then you can also see what we're going to be dealing with and get alerts on your phone too. And of course, the best thing to have really is a National Weather Service radio. You can program your county in there and the counties around you. So if any alerts are issued, an alarm will sound on that radio and you can get that information there now. And then, of course, when you hear those alerts, tune into 11 Alive and we'll be there for you, or 11 Alive Plus, and we'll be there for you so that we can walk you through those storms as they move through. Here is that severe weather threat for the day today. Now, I know we're already seeing those storms that are going through Mississippi and Alabama. This advisory, or this outlook really, the convective outlook, is really for between 8 o'clock in the morning through the afternoon hours. So this is kind of jumping ahead and showing what's going to be happening throughout the morning hours and into the afternoon, where even though we've got that still pushing through Alabama early this morning, As this continues to move this way, these are the areas that we're going to be watching for that potential for those storms to turn strong and potentially severe. So north and northwest Georgia throughout the morning and into the afternoon will be in that green color, far north Georgia. That's a level 1 of 5 risk. The rest of North Georgia will be in a level 2 of 5 risk. And then Metro Atlanta over to East Georgia down to the south, a really large part of Georgia is going to be in that level 3 of 5 risk for some severe storms to be pushing through the morning hours into the afternoon before that exits, moving over to the east of us and pushing down to the south. You know, level 3 risk means that you've got a better chance for a few more showers and storms that will be developing today that could be strong, and this is mainly going to be in association with a line that'll be moving in. So the main threats again that we're watching are really pockets of heavy rain and strong winds. Those are the highest risks that we're watching. The tornado risk is really low to maybe moderate. I just checked the latest significant tornado parameter, and it's not that impressive here. I'm going to show you that parameter here coming up in just a moment. Also, the hail risk is on the lower end. We don't think we're going to have widespread hail around, but it is possible with these springtime storms moving through, depending on the convection and how high up into the atmosphere those clouds are going, those cumulonimbus clouds, and if any hail is developing there going up into those higher elevations there, that changes over to ice and then eventually could become hail. Again, we don't think that today is going to be a big time hail event, so that hail risk is going to be on the lower end. Here is the tornado environment. This is what we call the significant tornado parameter. And what we look at here is when you see the gray colors, that's a really low chance for tornadoes to occur, meaning that the environment is just a little or not as favorable for tornadoes to occur. Once we see the yellows and oranges and then the reds and purples, that's when that tornado environment is a little more favorable or more conducive for storms that could cause rotation to develop. So as you see here, out to the west, we're really just seeing some of those lower signatures for that potential in the environment for rotation to develop. And through the morning hours, this is at noontime, it's really kind of hard to see, but we're really just showing here the lighter gray or whiter colors, again, giving us a low risk for any tornadoes to occur. Now, it's not a zero risk. We could still see some isolated tornadoes developing out of this system here. That continues to push through. Once we get through the afternoon, that diminishes somewhat. Then the actual front comes through late this afternoon into the evening. And again, just a really low risk with that as it continues to push through our area today. So here's a look at everything all together. Temperatures today are going to be critical in whether or not these storms are going to start firing up. Of course, the hotter it gets, then the better chances of seeing more instability and storms to develop in those lines with this system as it moves in. Right now, we're already above average, especially for the morning hours. Now, the average high for this time of year is in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. So we do expect to see those temperatures into the 70s today. But we have pretty uniform temperatures around, not a big time ranges there, mostly mid 60s here in the metro area. Cooler spots are up in Blairsville and Clayton where we're in the lower 60s there. But again, not a huge range in temperatures around. And we do think we'll see these temperatures getting up right around 69, lower 70s throughout the afternoon hours. And depending on any rain coming in, temperatures may cool down a few degrees here and there and then back up to near 70 once we get to the 6 o'clock hour. So we're not going to see a lot of warming today. If we were seeing temperatures getting up to 80, 82, 83, 84 today as these storms were moving in or before the storms moved in, that would add a lot more instability and a lot more potential for those storms to really fire up when you have a lot of heating up ahead of that line. But we're only thinking, I mean, it's already mild now. We're thinking we're just going to be up to around 70 degrees today. So yes, that is still on the mild side, but it's not crazy heat and crazy heating that would really feed these storms to move through. So let's walk through this timeline of what we're watching with these storms continuing to push through. Again, right now we're just seeing those scattered showers around. This isn't the main system. We are seeing those storms. This is what we showed you up in North Alabama, up around Huntsville and into areas of Northeast Alabama, that part of the storm system that's moving through, and then those stronger storms back in West Alabama. So this part by 8, 9 o'clock, will start moving into the northwest counties here in northwest Georgia, Dade, Walker, Catoosa, Chattooga, counties in northwest Georgia with those pockets of heavy rain. Those could trigger some severe thunderstorm warnings, but at this point we don't think these would be any type of tornado warning. So again, that is that first part of that elongated area of that line that's going to keep pushing through. That sweeps through North Georgia first. By 10 o'clock, again, we're seeing that line moving this way, so that takes those storms by 10 o'clock into areas of Fannin, Gilmer County with those heavier showers there. But again, this is the first part of that elongated area of storms that's going to stretch back into Rome. Again, this is at 10 o'clock this morning as we see this part of the line moving through, but that main part is still back into Birmingham at 10 o'clock in the morning. And this is the part that really we're going to be watching to impact us. So we have kind of a long area or a long duration to watch this for North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, because it'll be impacting Northwest and North Georgia first with this part of the storm. But it's this part that comes through later that we'll have to wait for as we get closer to the lunchtime hour and after lunch for that part to move on through. And this is looking a little more impressive into the late morning and into early afternoon. This is at noon. Again, some of those showers to the north, and then that line from Rome stretching down. This is the part that's pushing through the Birmingham area around 10 o'clock. By lunchtime, that's the part that's moving into western Georgia there. It's going to be in parts of Cleburne County and Randolph County. They're in a severe thunderstorm watch right now until 1 o'clock. And that's going to keep pushing in. So we're thinking lunchtime and after is the main time frame for these storms to be moving through the Atlanta area. This is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, you see these storms over the metro area pushing down to the south. That's that heavier rain with that. Within any of those storms, we could see a lot of wind with them. And again, that's the part where we have the potential for any tornadoes that could develop. It would be with this part right here for those afternoon hours here. Again, lunchtime to mid-afternoon when that all moves through the area. That keeps moving off to the east by 4 o'clock. In fact, let me take this back. I want to walk you through this just a little bit slower here. Let me take this out of play mode really quick, and I can kind of do this manually here. I want to go back a little bit, and I'll walk you through this hour by hour. This is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In fact, I'll move over so you can see this a little bit better. Where 2 o'clock in the afternoon, these storms pushing through the Atlanta area. Then we go to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's going to be a pretty fast mover once it gets in here. It's just going to take a while for it to get here. By 3 o'clock, Atlanta is done with those storms, but we're still watching these from Athens, getting closer to Eatonton, already cleared through Newton County there at Covington. So from Athens to the Eatonton area and over Lake Oconee, that's going to be more like the 3 o'clock time frame for the main part of those storms. And then as you continue on through, we'll advance this on to 4 o'clock. It's already out of the Atlanta viewing area. It's well off to the east of Athens, east of Eatonton, getting closer and moving toward the Augusta area, traveling along I-20 over toward the Thompson area by 4 o'clock this afternoon, and continuing to move on through. Now, I mentioned as we get to the 6 o'clock hour, there could be a couple little lingering showers with the actual front. So let me show you that. Here we are at 6 o'clock, 6:30, and it's not that impressive here, but maybe just a couple lingering showers around, but nothing severe in the 6 o'clock time frame. The worst of it is going to be ahead of that front, and then the actual front moves through. There could be just a couple of isolated showers with it, but for the most part, it is going to be much quieter here as we get into the 10 o'clock hour. Again, maybe a couple of showers here on the south side later on this evening. 10 o'clock is when we see some of those showers that'll move through. But then you see these arrows coming out of the north and west. That's pushing everything out. So there's the northwesterly flow. Here's that southwesterly flow along that front that's moving out of our area. So we'll start clearing out during the evening hours tonight, and then things will look better moving into tomorrow morning. Again, here's we are at 10:30, and then early tomorrow morning, we're going to be fine. Tomorrow's going to be a good day with that northwesterly flow. We'll see a good bit of sunshine around. Temperatures this week are going to start rebounding. It's going to get really warm going into the middle of the week. We're talking about some mid-80s in our area for the middle of the week. And then we'll also watch going into Wednesday, a couple of scattered showers possible, but those rain chances will be on the low end. But look at that southerly flow midweek. That's what's going to give us that really warm air getting into the middle part of the week. So for the most part, things are going to be very quiet here, or active here for a while, and then we get quiet for the rest of the week with these storms that move through now, and then behind it we will see much nicer weather, but it's really going to warm up getting into parts of next week. So here is another view of our radar where we are fine right now. We're tracking a few showers here in parts of North Georgia at this hour. These went through, here's, we still have a few more in Gilmer County. Look up in the Blairsville area. This is Union and Towns County right here. We've got a couple of showers that are just a little bit heavier. Nothing too strong with these. We'll get in a little bit tighter so you can see these right here. This between Blairsville and Hiawassee, right there with that heavier rain. And then this north of Blairsville there, stretching up toward Hayesville, North Carolina. Here's Clay County, North Carolina, up around Shooting Creek. That's north of Hiawassee. Lake Chattooga is right up here in this area. So this part of that storm is about to move over Lake Chattooga. This one right here near Blairsville, crossing over the line into areas of, there's the northern parts of Gilmer County right here. You've got Fannin and Gilmer over there, Towns, Union counties, and then you see the straight line over here. So these storms will continue to move on over to the east and get closer to Clayton and Tallulah Falls right here. So this is White County here. We have Gilmer and Fannin, Union and Towns. So this is crossing over the line to Union and into Towns County. This is White County, north of Helen. There's Mossy Creek, Helen here. That's going to push into areas of Rabun County, some of these heavier showers. So if you're up around Lake Burton, you're going to see some of these showers move in. And let me turn the lightning on just to see if we have much in the form of lightning there. And most of the lightning is right up here north of the state line. We do have some lightning in Clay County, North Carolina here, up toward Valleytown. But what we're seeing with these down to the south of the state line in those parts of Union County and Towns County, we don't really see any lightning with that. You might be seeing some of that lightning from the distance and hearing the thunder from the distance in far north Georgia. But again, nothing too extreme here with those storms that continue moving to the east. So that's why I'm thinking this going through from Towns to Union, or actually Union to Towns, will keep moving into parts of Rabun in just a little bit. A couple of showers here in Dawson County and Delumpkin County. Nothing major, just really some windshield spotters. And then back to the metro area where we can see these storms, not really storms, but just a couple of showers here getting closer. Actually along I-20, maybe a couple of raindrops there. Nothing really heavy, just a couple of scattered showers well ahead of the main line that's going to be moving through our area later on this morning, when it's going to start getting a little more active. And this is that part of the system in North Alabama right now. Again, I want to explain this elongated line of storms that we're watching here. We have this part moving through Huntsville now. This is the part that's going to come into northwest Georgia first. All of that is going to keep moving over to the east. It'll be impacting Dade, Walker, Chattooga and Catoosa County in just a little bit. And you see that yellow. I'll get a closer look at that in a minute, but we do have a few of those counties in northwest Georgia in a severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon. But that line, as you see, stretches back through northern Alabama. Once we get to this part here in western Alabama and into eastern Mississippi. That is the main part of the line that is prompting the severe storms, severe thunderstorm warnings now, and even that tornado warning back along the line in western Alabama. So again, I just want to explain to you this initial part, that northern part of that elongated line, that will move into northwest Georgia first and then push through North Georgia. This is the part in western Alabama that we're watching that will move into our area later on through the morning hours and into the afternoon. We think it's going to be a little more active, of course, around the lunchtime hour for that part of the line that is causing these severe storms. We have the yellow here in western Alabama, where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that red polygon is where we have the, I'm just making sure we don't have any new information here, that we're doing good. I'm kind of looking at the National Weather Service chat here as I'm online with you. And as we do these elongated weather discussions here, a lot of times you are, okay, just making sure nothing new is coming in. You're seeing us kind of gathering information at the same time we're giving you the information. So every once in a while, we have to just kind of stop a little bit just to make sure that we are, make sure that we're not getting any new information coming in. In fact, I want to, again, make sure that we're good on this here. And, okay, yeah. That's all good there. So, but we're gathering information at the same time we're disseminating or giving you information. So it's not always pretty TV when we're doing these elongated, extended weather discussions here. But it's you with us as we're behind the scenes, kind of letting you know what we are hearing from the Weather Service on the chat, as well as tracking these storms for you live coming in from the west. But this is that part really in western Alabama. Again, prompting a tornado warning there to the west of Fayette, Alabama. And I know you're seeing Carrollton and Columbus here. We're not talking about Georgia. We're in western Alabama right now. In fact, I'll zoom out a little bit tighter. This is to the west of Birmingham. So these storms will be pushing through Birmingham and then in Georgia. So it's going to take a while. They still have to cross all the way through the state of Alabama before they make it here into our area. In fact, I'll zoom out to give you perspective. This is how we're watching this. There's Birmingham. There's that line of storms there in western Alabama. And then here we are in Atlanta. So this part still has to go all the way through Birmingham, then into West Georgia, then into Metro Atlanta. That's why we're thinking the main event for the metro area really won't be until around lunchtime today for those stronger storms to move in. Of course, I talked about the heating and the temperatures that are going to be in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. We're not going to see sunshine really heating us up into the 80s or anything, but when we do see storms coming in the afternoon hours where we do see the warmest part of the day, that's when they can fire up and get a little bit stronger. So that's going to be the thing that we're watching. But we're not expecting big time jumps in the temperatures. We're only talking about the mid 60s out there right now, pushing up into the upper 60s to maybe lower 70s into the afternoon hours. So just some warming today, but not crazy warming to really fuel these storms even more. But again, when you get storms in the afternoon, that's when they can fire up because they're going to tap into that optimum heating that we have during the day. So here's that part. There's the track that it has to take all the way through Birmingham into West Georgia and then eventually into the Atlanta area. We do think they'll hold together, maybe weakening east of Atlanta a little bit later on today. And then that line also stretches back through Mississippi, into southern Mississippi and into Louisiana. We have a couple of more tornado warnings there in Louisiana. So everybody in the southeast really needs to be watching this closely. If you are doing some traveling today from Atlanta through Alabama into or going down closer to the Gulf Coast region, there is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for South Alabama, the western panhandle as well. Severe thunderstorm watches here out to the west too, with those storms going through Hattiesburg. And again, with that, severe thunderstorm warnings and even those tornado warnings with that too. Ooh, here's a new tornado warning from that same storm there that we talked about earlier, right here. So there was a tornado warning in Mississippi that stopped at the Alabama line. Then the National Weather Service extended that into western Alabama for this part here. Now they are extending it again, still well to the west of Birmingham, but that just goes to show that these storms can develop some rotation with them, and when they do develop rotation, that rotation can hold together. So this is another tornado warning there, west of Jasper, Alabama, north of Tuscaloosa. I always like to make sure I point out Tuscaloosa when we're talking about storms in Alabama. Many folks here in Metro Atlanta have kids, children, young adults in college who are over at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa and are wondering how these western Alabama storms would be affecting their kids there. So yeah, those storms are going to be moving into Tuscaloosa right now, but the one that is prompting the tornado warnings, that's north of Tuscaloosa. So Tuscaloosa is not included in any of those warnings right now, but this would be in line to move into Birmingham a little bit later this morning, depending on how that line actually holds together moving through Alabama. And again, we're not saying that this particular cell is going to remain a tornado all the way into Atlanta, but just this line of storms will have the potential to produce that severe weather, as well as some rotation possible with those storms getting into the lunchtime hour as this moves into areas of northwest Georgia late morning, and then around the lunch hour pushing into the Metro Atlanta area. So let's put this again in a wider scope so you can get perspective of what we're watching. Also find it interesting that these are only, I don't want to say only severe thunderstorm warnings, severe thunderstorm watches actually. We don't have a tornado watch that's in effect with these. In fact, I want to double check that. Here's the severe thunderstorm watch. As I mentioned earlier, that is for those areas in Alabama and into northwest Georgia. In fact, let me query this. Let me do one thing here really quick for that storm, the watch warning. Yes, so these are severe thunderstorm watches. We don't have any tornado watches with that. So it'll be interesting to see that once we get through these morning hours, if they will potentially issue any tornado watches with this, or if they're going to hold on to the severe thunderstorm watches. But as I mentioned, that severe thunderstorm watch does extend into northwest Georgia. It does include Chattooga, Dade, Walker, and Catoosa counties here in that severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon for those storms, again, well in advance of those storms that are moving in. And that is with that northern part of that elongated line that will be pushing into northwest Georgia first. That's why they have that severe thunderstorm watch there. And then again, later on today, this afternoon, I really expect that at least the severe thunderstorm watch will be extended into the Metro Atlanta area a little bit later on this morning. Whether or not it's going to be a tornado watch, we don't know if they'll decide to make this into a tornado watch. It all depends on how those storms are developing out to the west in the western parts of Alabama, continuing to move on in. So here is a look again at that weather impact alert that we have for us. Really between now, we're not expecting anything strong here until late morning into afternoon, but we would just want you to be aware this morning through about 3 o'clock is when these storms will move through Atlanta and be exiting over on the east side where we have that heavier rain and those storms that'll be moving through. And the main threats we're watching, heavy rain and the potential for some damaging winds, could bring down some trees. They could be damaging winds that could cause some issues with power lines, damage homes, it is possible here. And there's a lower risk for some isolated tornadoes that could develop along that line. So the main thing we want you to know is just to stay alert, be aware of these storms as they move through, and make sure you enable the wireless emergency alerts on your cell phone so that you will get those weather alerts, as well as download our 11 Alive app on your phone, enable alerts there, have a National Weather Service radio program your county into that and the counties surrounding you so that you'll be alerted whether or not your county or counties around you are included in any warnings, whether they're severe thunderstorm warnings, if you're included in any watches, whether those are severe thunderstorm watches or tornado warnings. The convective outlook map shows what we're watching here through the morning hours and into the afternoon, where Metro Atlanta and much of areas to the south of us and to the east of us are in a level 3 of 5 risk for severe storms to impact you today. North Georgia is in a level 2 risk from Rome over into Clayton, Georgia, over in Rabun County, including numerous counties in North Georgia. Far North Georgia, near the Tennessee and North Carolina line, is where we have a level 1 risk, and of course that extends back into Alabama too. So that level 3 of 5 risk means that conditions are likely for some thunderstorms that could turn severe. Maybe not just 1 or 2, but multiple severe thunderstorms along that line moving into our area a little bit later on today. The heavy rain and strong wind risk is on the higher end for today. Those are the main things we're watching. The tornado risk, I would say, is more low, not necessarily really moderate, but low to moderate this afternoon. Again, that lunchtime hour for some tornadoes to occur, and the hail risk is on the lower end for today too, along with that line. Now, the tornado environment, this is the significant tornado parameter that we watch. And what we look for here in the significant tornado parameter is to see how the environment is coming together, if the environment is more favorable or less favorable for storms to develop that could have rotation with them. And right now, the STP, again, significant tornado parameter, is on the lower end. You see here on the legend where you see the whiter colors and a little bit of yellow, that's really more on the low end. So the tornado risk is not high or anything, but it's also not zero. It's just on the low end, where you see these the white kind of shades here, white and gray in Alabama. This is at 10 o'clock this morning, meaning on the low end for any potential for rotation to develop. You see here that, again, that low end risk getting into the lunchtime hour moves into the metro area along with those storms. We're not really seeing any yellows and oranges or reds. That's when that tornado parameter is higher. That's when the tornado environment is a little more juiced up for rotation to develop here. So again, we're not seeing those big time risks for tornadoes, but it's also not zero. It's on the lower end for any of these cells to have some potential tornadoes with them. And then everything moves out a little bit later on today, and we start calming down late afternoon and into the evening hours. The temperatures out there, something we're going to be watching throughout the daytime hours too. We don't expect to see big time jumps in the temperatures today. Right now, we're already mild in the 60s. We're thinking we'll get up to around 69, 70 degrees through the afternoon hours. The deal is, when we get to that time frame for optimum heating, that's when we think the storms will be rolling through. So rain will actually maybe cool us down a few degrees to keep us around 66 to 69 for the afternoon hour. So we don't really expect to see any big time jumps. If we were to jump up to 80 degrees or 82 or 83, 85 today, that would really fire up these storms moving in and fuel these storms with that heating and added instability. But just with temperatures holding there in the 60s to upper 60s to maybe lower 70s, again, that's going to be some heating, but just not crazy heating out there to feed those storms even more. So for the next 12 hours, here you see at 8 o'clock, we just have the clouds around for next hour, maybe just a spotty shower here and there. Getting to 10 o'clock, we start to see a few more showers and a couple thunderstorms that'll begin to develop here, still ahead of that main line. That main line coming through around lunchtime with showers and thunderstorms here to around 2 in the afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms, again, we'll be at 69 at noon, 66 at 2. That rain might cool us off, maybe just a couple of degrees there. 4 o'clock. Still some showers around, but they're moving to the east and starting to taper off. And then by 6 o'clock, mainly cloudy, possibly back up to 69, and then 66 at 8 o'clock tonight, with the rain. It's going to be all out of here later on into those afternoon hours. So let's walk through the forecast track, the hour by hour, so you can see here what we're watching with these showers and storms. Just scattered showers out there right now, nothing major moving in. But getting into next hour, in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to watch those storms that are back into the Huntsville area, getting closer to Dade, Walker, Catoosa, and Chattooga counties here, where we have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 1 o'clock. So that's the northern part of that elongated line moving into northwest Georgia. This is at 8 o'clock this morning. You see that moving in, continuing to move by 10:30 through, again, far north Georgia into areas of Gilmer and through Fannin County, approaching Union and Towns County there. And then this line still stretching back through Rome with those showers that could be heavy at times, moving through there and getting a little more active there too, into Floyd County. And then that main part where we see those tornado warnings now in western Alabama, that main part pushing into Birmingham. This would be at 10 o'clock this morning here with those. So again, this is that main part that has that higher potential for those severe storms and that potential for any tornadoes to develop here. Watch how that moves over into Cleburne County and Randolph County. This is at noon. All right, so that's where we have the action up in North Georgia, the main line moving into West Georgia around lunchtime, and then through the metro Atlanta area. This is going to be a pretty fast mover. This is from noon till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon with that main part of the system. Again, as we see the temperatures at the warmest part of the day, even though we don't think it's going to be crazy warm, it's just that warmest part of the day where any of these storms could tap in to any of that heating to give us those not only stronger storms with damaging winds, but any potential for some isolated tornadoes to develop here. This is that main part between noon and 2 o'clock moving through Atlanta. And by 4 o'clock, it's already well to the east of us, east of Athens and east of Lake Oconee. So it's that time frame from west to east, going from around 11 o'clock and noon into West Georgia, noon to 2 to 3 here in the Atlanta area, and then by 4 o'clock it's already well just to the east of Lake Oconee there through Eatonton along I-20, and then east of Athens already. With those storms moving on over into South Carolina, getting out of here. And then through the evening hours, we start clearing out. This is at 10 o'clock. We're going to see more of that northerly flow moving in here, and we'll see those conditions really much quieter during the nighttime hours tonight, and then into those morning hours here tomorrow morning. And tomorrow's going to be a really, really good day. So it's that elongated line of showers and storms that are moving in. So this is over North Georgia right now in parts of Union, Towns County, getting closer to Rabun County. There's that bit of heavier rain in Huntsville right now. It has not been triggering any severe thunderstorm warnings. It's just going to be a good bit of heavy rain through Huntsville. That is what is eventually going to make it into northwest Georgia in just a little bit here. With some of those pockets of heavy rain, maybe a little thunder and lightning. In fact, let me turn the lightning back on here. I want to show you. Okay, so we do see now, earlier the lightning was mainly north of the Georgia line into North Carolina. So here's the Georgia-North Carolina line. And we were seeing that lightning mainly with this in Clay County, North Carolina, that lightning there. But now we're getting a couple of strikes into those spots of Towns County here near Hiawassee, and now that heavy rain is to the east of Hiawassee, but along Highway 76, that's the road you take from Clayton over to Hiawassee. We have that heavier rain there, but we're seeing a couple of lightning strikes now south of the Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee line, where we have some lightning. So earlier it wasn't any lightning on the Georgia side. Now we're seeing some of that, and that's what's going to move into Rabun County right here. Here's Clayton. So you've got Highway 23 from Dillard to Clayton. Lake Burton is in this area here. These heavier showers will be moving into Rabun and into Clayton and Dillard in just a little while, just to the north of Tallulah Falls. But again, it's not severe. It's just some good heavy rain with some thunder and lightning there in North Georgia. continuing to move on over to the east. So that's that initial part of that elongated line. Then we're waiting for the rest of this. Okay, and now with the lightning on there, that looks a lot more impressive. In fact, let me do a lightning count. I'm going to do a lightning count just for, I may have to turn off, let me try this really quick here. For that line in Alabama, 741 lightning strikes from, really, it includes West Georgia, but there's no lightning in West Georgia right now. But with this, from Huntsville into parts of Tennessee, stretching back into south of Birmingham and into western Alabama, 741 lightning strikes. So that just shows how active that line of thunderstorms is, and how many people are seeing a lot of that lightning and hearing a lot of the thunder with it for those storms in Alabama. So I'm going to take the lightning off though, and because you can really see when I take the lightning off more of the structure of some of these storms here back into Alabama. And we have those stronger storms there, and that tornado warning well to the west of Birmingham. So that's still holding together. We have flood warnings there in northern, northeastern, northwestern parts of Alabama. Also severe thunderstorm warnings, and then there's that tornado warning. This was a tornado warning that started in Mississippi, then went into western Alabama. Now it is over. Again, here's Birmingham here. Where I-20 goes through and then pushes down to the south. You've got 65 going down to the south here, and then Highway 22. So this is over in Fayette, Alabama. That's north of Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa is not included in this tornado warning there to the west of us. But that is that bit in Alabama that's going to be getting closer to Birmingham really within the next hour or so. And then this whole line of storms will be moving into West Georgia closer to lunchtime, and then eventually into the metro area lunchtime and after. So this is what we're watching. Here's Atlanta here. We still have a ways to go, but it's how is this part going to hold together once this moves into the Atlanta area just a little bit later on here. Late morning into West Georgia and lunchtime into West Georgia. Lunchtime to around 2 in the afternoon through the metro Atlanta area is the main time frame that we're watching for the strongest part of this to continue to move through not only Alabama but into the metro Atlanta area a little bit later on today. We have these showers up in North Georgia right now that really aren't that impressive. This one, again, has a little bit of lightning with it coming out of Towns County into Rabun County. Heavy rain there moving into Clayton. And then you see on the north side of the metro area, we're just talking a few spotty showers here. As people are driving in, you know, they may have to hit the windshield wipers every once in a while with just a few of the raindrops. Then it just makes the pollen on your windshield turn into paste, smears across your windshield here. We need a good soaking rain to wash away a lot of this pollen. We had some showers yesterday, not really a lot to wash away much of that pollen. But with this line today, even though we're not hoping for anything severe, we don't want severe, but it would be nice to have a good downpour for a while to kind of wash away a lot of this pollen. Now, in order to really wash it all away, you need more than just a brief downpour. You need a good soaking rain to really wash a lot of that pollen around out. But at least maybe some rain and pockets of heavy rain will help to wash away a lot of it to hopefully reduce the pollen count, the record-breaking pollen counts that we had here. As of now, it's just a couple of light spotty showers on the north side, up 75 into North Cobb, Cherokee County along 575. Just some windshield spotters happening there. Back into Carroll County, we have just some of that light rain that's moving through there right now too. And then still most of the action is well out to the west of us in western Alabama. And that's the main part that moves in. But again, we're watching this in Huntsville. A new severe thunderstorm warning out of that east of Huntsville, between Huntsville and Hennigar. And that's going to move up into near Chattanooga and west of Chattanooga in a bit. But we'll be keeping an eye on that for those storms moving into northwest Georgia a little bit later on for the morning hours. And then again, getting more active into the afternoon. So that's that elongated area, storms there, but still the ones that'll impact us are still the ones that are back in western Alabama. They haven't even made it into the Birmingham area yet. So as we're getting closer to the top of the hour here, I just kind of want to reset for those who may be joining in at the 8 o'clock hour. I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb with the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team. Just resetting here at the top of the hour as we're letting you know that we are tracking these storms that are going to be moving our way. It's still going to take a while for the heaviest part of this system to move in for the late morning hours into West Georgia, through Metro Atlanta, around lunchtime and just after lunch, and then exiting the metro area mid-afternoon and into the later afternoon hours. It's all going to be past Athens and Lake Oconee by 4 o'clock this afternoon. So it's just going to be a long process today as we're watching these showers and storms move in. What we're seeing right now are just some of the showers that have been developing well ahead of that main line. It's nothing really too active right now. In fact, a lot of people are driving in on dry roads this morning, or the roads may be just a little bit damp from just a few of the raindrops that have been going on here and there. I'm going to get a closer look at these lighter showers here in just a minute, but just where things have been a little more active so far this morning. And when I say active, I don't mean like severe storms or anything, but just as in parts of North Georgia, that's where we've been dealing with a few more of the showers that have just been a little bit heavier at times. We had a special statement earlier this morning in the 6 o'clock hour where we had the National Weather Service issue a special statement for areas of Catoosa County and Whitfield County near Dalton, with one storm that moved through there that had heavy rain and close to 40-mile-an-hour winds with it. That keeps moving to the east. I just heard my phone do something over here. I just want to make sure I'm not getting anything new in from the National Weather Service, but nothing new with that right now. But just we've been watching a few of those showers and a couple of thunder showers up in North Georgia that have been pushing through. And what we've been seeing with these are really just some pockets of heavy rain, some gusty winds, a little thunder and lightning, but nothing has been severe. But it helps to wash away some of the pollen. It makes the roads wet for those who are going to be driving around up there on some of those mountain roads and the regular roads up in North Georgia for the morning hours. Let me take you closer into that one that went through Blairsville just a little while ago and is now nearing the Clayton area. So this is that heavier shower. It's got a little bit of lightning with it. It moved through Young Harris and Hiawassee. Now that stretches again through Clay County. That we had a little more lightning up in Clay County north of the Georgia line earlier. That's moving now, getting closer to Dillard and Clayton with some of that heavier rain. That'll be moving through here. But that's pretty much it. It's not like it's severe. There could be some gusty winds with it and a couple of spots with some thunder and lightning. In fact, I'll turn the lightning back on here for this map. So we did have a couple of lightning strikes earlier back in parts of Towns County. Clay County had a little more lightning earlier. But this part coming through Rabun right now doesn't have lightning at this moment, but we could see some lightning strikes out of it and rumbles of thunder. The main threats with this, pockets of heavy rain moving through Rabun County and through Dillard and Clayton, and that'll eventually make it over into Sky Valley. Now, what this could help with will be the fires that we've been watching up in Rabun County and into parts of western North Carolina. We just need any type of moisture, any pockets of heavy rain. Now, lightning is not on our side because we don't want any lightning strikes to start any additional fires, but these pockets of heavy rain will really help to moisten up those fuels of all the underbrush and even the debris left over from Helene, which has been causing, or actually helping to feed some of those wildfires up in parts of North Georgia and into western North Carolina. So this rain should hopefully help those fires that are up in parts of northeast Georgia and into parts of western North Carolina too, as that moves on through. But that is a part, as I've been saying really throughout the morning hours, it's an elongated line starting with this, all right, that's kind of flat there in North Georgia, going back to Huntsville. Then that all stretches out into this part, into Alabama. So you see here, this elongated area, North Georgia over to Huntsville, and then stretching down into western Alabama. This is the part that is over in western Alabama, getting closer to Birmingham right now, that we are watching that will eventually move into West Georgia through the later morning hours into the metro area, lunchtime to just after lunch, So we're really going to be watching this part right here to see how that holds together, moving through Birmingham, then into eastern Alabama, then into western Georgia, and then eventually into the metro Atlanta area. It does have a history of producing severe weather, and we have had some tornado warnings with this, and we still have this tornado warning west of Birmingham. This is from a cell that had some rotation with it in parts of Alabama. In fact, I want to query this really quick. Not necessarily, I just want to see what the Weather Service is saying about it. Let's see, I want to take off the watch really quick because I want to see just the warning here. And we query this again. Again, when you're seeing us do these extended cut-ins here on 11 Alive Plus, a lot of times it's not pretty TV. What you're seeing with us is that we are disseminating information and telling you this information as we are getting it in. So sometimes we have to take a moment just to stop and look at this. So this is in, again, Fayette County, Alabama, not Fayette County, Georgia. This is for a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. The hazard there is a tornado. It's radar indicated rotation. So this is not a confirmed tornado, but it's been radar indicated coming out of Mississippi into western parts of Alabama. So it's really been, we had this is the third tornado warning with that cell that we're watching right now over into Alabama. So this is north of Tuscaloosa. As I mentioned earlier, I know many of you here in the Atlanta area have kids who are maybe at University of Alabama, and when you hear us talking about tornadoes in western Alabama, you want to know where this is in relation to Tuscaloosa. So here's Tuscaloosa out I-20 here. That cell that has prompted the tornado warning is north of Tuscaloosa right now, again near Fayette, Alabama, getting closer to Jasper. This is still to the west of Birmingham. So we're really going to be just watching this part of the line to see how this is going to hold together moving into the Birmingham area in just a little while. With that heavier rain, and again, some potential rotation, radar indicated rotation with that. Now, for those of you who do have loved ones over into Tuscaloosa, again, that's part of this system that's north of Tuscaloosa now, but this part still is going to be moving into more of western Alabama, pushing on through. Right now, this is where we have severe thunderstorm warnings in eastern Mississippi. That's about to cross over the line. So yeah, areas south of that tornado warning are still going to get hit by some storms, but whether or not those cause any tornadoes, we just don't know yet. And what we'll continue to be watching as it gets moving on in. So really, we're giving you advanced warning on these storms as we're tracking these storms that are well back into Alabama. And then our challenge today is going to be how these storms are going to hold together, how our environment reacts to any rain that moves in today, whether or not things stabilize before the main line moves in, but we really don't think that's going to be a likely scenario to see much stabilization. These storms are going to be moving in as our temperatures are in the early afternoon hours. And we will have the warmest part of the day here as these storms move in, but that warmest part of the day is going to be upper 60s and lower 70s rather than in the 80s. If we had highs in the 80s today before these storms, that would really fuel the atmosphere with instability to make these storms fire up even more. But we're just talking about temperatures now in the mid 60s. That'll be moving to the upper 60s. So really not big time jumps in the temperatures today, but yes, it will be a little bit warmer at the warmest part of the day when these storms move through. So that's what we have to watch, and that's going to be the challenge today, to see how this line holds together and to see how those ingredients with these storms hold together moving into West Georgia and then into the Atlanta area as to whether or not they will cause us severe weather. And we do think we will at least have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings with this, but there is the potential for any rotation that could develop with them to give us any tornado warnings possible with that too. And of course, this stretches back into Mississippi. The yellow polygons you see here indicate where we have more of those severe thunderstorm warnings. So yes, this line has a history of producing severe weather, and we are still watching some of those tornadoes and tornado warnings with that. Again, nothing confirmed in Alabama, but radar indicated rotation in Alabama. That severe thunderstorm watch does cover much of Alabama. Cleburne and Randolph County, you're included in that severe thunderstorm watch, but it does move over into some counties in northwest Georgia: Dade County, Walker County, Catoosa County, and Chattooga County. That's in effect until 1 o'clock. So that's the other thing we're going to be watching here for today, is whether or not any of those watches will either be extended to include more counties, or if new watches will be issued to include more of northwest Georgia or even into the Metro Atlanta area for late morning and into the early afternoon. So that's what we're going to be monitoring for you today too. We did issue a weather impact alert last week in advance of these storms moving in. Now, we did not issue an alert for Sunday because we didn't think Sunday was going to be too active of a day, and it really wasn't that active of a day. We did have a few showers around, but nothing crazy. That's why we didn't want to alert you for Sunday, because we weren't really expecting anything alert-worthy to happen, and I think that was a good choice for us because there wasn't a lot of action. We don't like to use these alerts for hyping or to worry you or anything. When we issue these alerts, we issue the alerts 4 days when we think we're going to have something to be concerned about. And that's why we have this alert today with this line of storms that will be moving into our area and through our area late morning through the metro area, lunchtime and just after lunch is the main time frame. So really until 3 o'clock today is when we're watching that main part of the storms to travel through West Georgia into the Metro Atlanta area, and then really clear Metro Atlanta and even Eastern Georgia between 3 and 4 o'clock this afternoon. So that's the main time frame that we're watching for this weather impact alert for today. And again, the main impacts will be pockets of heavy rain, strong wind, a lower risk for some isolated tornadoes to develop with this. So what you need to do is stay alert, especially when you're talking about kids getting on school buses in the afternoon. We're really thinking that main line is going to be pushing through or out of our area by the time a lot of kids are going to be getting on the bus later on this afternoon. 3, 4 o'clock is when that moves through. And for any parents who are, worried about their kids being at school when we have the potential for severe weather, they practice at their schools with tornado drills and weather drills there. And your school structure is really, might even be a safer place to be than your home. So your kids are going to be in a safe place. Now, of course, schools also have protocols for when any watches or warnings are issued for any of the students who are out in trailers. They bring them in to the school to a more structured area than in those trailers. So your schools also keep up with these weather alerts that are going to be moving through later on today and making sure the kids are in the safest place that they can be. And sometimes they delay school buses to make sure that the kids aren't in those buses when it's a little more active out there. So that's what we're going to be watching throughout the day. So again, that main need for you is to stay alert, be aware of these storms that will be moving through our area today and those impacts that we could possibly see. Here is a look again at that convective outlook of what we're watching today. We're in a level 3 of 5 risk. That is an enhanced risk for severe storms. An enhanced risk means conditions are likely for numerous thunderstorms to develop, and out of those, some of those could turn severe. The level 2 risk is more widely scattered severe storms. The level 1 risk is only isolated severe storms. But that's the main risk areas that we're in for today. That level 3 risk includes Atlanta, Athens, down to Macon, Augusta, you're in there. North of the metro area, Gainesville is just right on the line between the level 2 and the level 3 risk here. The rest of North Georgia is in that level 2 risk, and then a small part of far North Georgia is in the level 1 risk. And the main things we're watching, higher risk for those pockets of heavy rain and strong winds. The tornado risk, I may change this back to low after looking at the latest significant tornado parameter. Moderate might be a little too high there. I'm really thinking more of the low risk. In fact, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and change that online right now on this graphic, take out the moderate and make it be low here on the low end. So yeah, we just saw that disappear. So again, after looking at the latest significant tornado parameters, yes, there is a chance for some rotation here, but I think it's more on the lower end instead of that moderate end for that potential for tornadoes to move on through. So I wanted you to do that live on air as I'm looking at it again as we do these extended updates here on 11 Alive Plus. You are with us as we're fine-tuning the forecast. We tell you every day we look at new data and we fine-tune the forecast for you. I just did that with those potentials of those storms that we're watching here and the impacts there. Now, the thing I want you to see, this is this morning. We've been talking about the tornado environment. This is what we call the significant tornado parameter that looks at the environment and how the conditions are and whether or not it is possible for tornadoes to develop. And on the legend, you see the whiter or the grayer colors here. That's a low risk. And then when you see the yellows, it's still low, but at least it starts coming up a little bit. So we are seeing just those lower gray colors here, meaning a low environment. There is a little bit of yellow showing up there west of Alabama. That's pretty much ahead of that system that has prompted the tornado warning over in western parts of Alabama. So let's see how that yellow color didn't really hold together very well. We just have still the grays and the whiter colors over us. So that's why I'm thinking it's, a lower risk for any tornadoes to develop out there for today. 12:30, when that main line is moving through our area. Again, the whiter colors indicating a lower risk for tornadoes, but it's not zero. So that's why I want you to be aware there is that potential for some tornadoes to develop, but it's on that lower end for anything to turn strong for today that, again, could have some rotation with them. And then once we get to the later afternoon hours, the front moves through and we'll see the storms really are going to be out of our area by 4 o'clock this afternoon. But what we have to watch is with the actual front, there could be some couple of isolated showers with it, but we don't think any of those would be severe during that 6 o'clock hour. Of course, also watching these temperatures around North Georgia right now. This is what I'm talking about, with mid 60s right now. So we're already mild right now in the morning hours, and we're going to be moving up to around 69, 70 this afternoon. So we don't see a big drastic warm up today. Like, we're not going to get into the 80s into the afternoon hours. That would really fuel these showers and storms. It's generally going to be remaining there really just about a 4 or 5 degree range in temperatures, going from the mid 60s to the upper 60s to around maybe some lower 70s here through the afternoon hours. So this is what we're watching with that timeline. 11 o'clock, those storms that are over nearing Birmingham right now will be moving into West Georgia and closer to the metro area from 11 till about 2, 3 in the afternoon. That's the time frame when we think things are going to be most active, and really more active here around lunchtime and just after lunch around the 1 o'clock hour for the main line to be moving through. That's when we have a 100% chance for rain and storms, and then diminishing at 3 o'clock as it moves to the east. And again, we're thinking 5, 7 o'clock, most everything is going to be out of here, maybe just a lingering shower possible as it moves through. So I'm going to walk you through the forecast track. Then I'm going to put this back to map mode for just a little bit, just to take a little bit of a break. I want to regroup with Chesley here as we kind of look ahead to what our coverage plans are for the rest of the day. But again, we will be focusing totally on weather through these morning hours here. Through the morning hours and into the afternoon here on 11 Alive Plus to make sure you are well aware of what is happening here with these storms. There is, again, just the scattered showers ahead of the main line, but there's that initial part of that elongated area of rain and storms that are moving into Dade and Walker County. That'll keep moving on through. And then this is the part we're watching that's going to be in Birmingham between 10 and 11. That moves into Cleburne and Randolph County, getting closer to the lunchtime hour. So we have these showers and storms north, that main line pushing through. Here we are in Atlanta. This is between lunchtime and 2 from West Georgia into Atlanta, and then quickly moving past us by 4 o'clock, those storms are going to be over into areas of the east. So for those of you out in the digital area, I'm going to come down just briefly until 8:30 to map mode here, just so Chesley and I can regroup a little bit. I want to make sure that we have everything all together for any coverage throughout the rest of the morning hours, and especially in our 9 o'clock hour. I believe that's when Chesley and I are going to be out in the studio together, tracking these storms together. So I'm going to come down briefly. We're going to keep this on map mode for about the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'll be back on with you at 8:30 to continue our live coverage here, to keep an eye on those storms in Alabama as they track a little bit closer to us. So stay with us right here on 11 Alive Plus and on 11 Alive Plus 24/7 radar and our Weather Impact 24/7 channel here on 11 Alive Plus 2. Good morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team. We are back with you live here this morning, tracking these storms that are on our way for the late morning hours and into the afternoon. We did a long stream with you just a little while ago, took just a short little break. Chesley and I are going to be with you again at 9 o'clock this morning. He and I will be together here streaming at 11 Alive Plus and our 24/7 Weather Impact channel here at 11 Alive Plus, as we're going to be tracking these storms that are getting closer to us. Again, we think the main impact with these storms are going to be late morning into West Georgia, and then around lunchtime and after through the afternoon hours before they exit, let's say, eastern Georgia, 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. So it's going to be a long time frame for what I was explaining earlier as this elongated line of strong storms that will be moving through. They'll be impacting northwest Georgia first. Then the main part that's west of Birmingham right now will be moving through Atlanta late morning through the lunchtime hour and into those early afternoon and mid-afternoon hours, pushing off to the east of us. Now, we do have a weather impact alert in effect. We issued this weather impact alert last week, anticipating these storms that would be moving through today. Now, we did not issue a weather impact alert for Sunday because we didn't think that the activity on Sunday was alert worthy, and it really wasn't alert worthy. We just had a few showers around during the day on Sunday. But today was the day that we were highlighting to be a little more active with showers and storms moving through. Again, that potential that some of those could turn strong with damaging wind possible, and a low-end threat for tornadoes through the late morning hours and into the afternoon, going from West Georgia into the metro area and into parts of North Georgia too. Now, I want to break down for you what I'm talking about with this elongated line of showers and storms. We had this area of rain that moved across North Georgia a little bit earlier. That's now up in North Carolina. This moved through parts of Rabun County a little bit earlier. We have just a couple of scattered showers, really just some windshield spotters on the north side right now. For folks who are driving in, the road is damp. You may have just a little bit of rain there on your windshield that you probably have to turn on the washer as well to help kind of get the pollen streaks off of your windshield, because this really isn't enough that we're seeing right now to wash away all of that pollen. Just a couple of lighter showers here on the north side, North Cobb, North Fulton, into Cherokee County, Forsyth County, over into Bartow County and Floyd County. Just a few of those spotty showers. A few spotty showers in North Georgia. We had this little bit of rain that was a little heavier earlier that went across far North Georgia. A little bit of thunder and lightning with it, but it wasn't anything severe. You can see how we saw, again, that push through and through Rabun, and now that's up into North Carolina. And then these just spotty showers, nothing really heavy with those. Not much in Atlanta right now, but we do have the clouds, and there might be just a raindrop here or there, but nothing really imminent or strong over us right now. We are keeping an eye, though, in parts of northern Alabama, where you see these storms. This one to the east of Huntsville has prompted a severe thunderstorm warning. We also have these counties, and I'm going to show you these a little bit closer in just a little bit. These counties in northwest Georgia under a severe thunderstorm watch. It is Dade, Walker, Catoosa County, and Chattooga County, and a severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock. And that severe thunderstorm watch extends back into much of Alabama too. But this, again, is part of that elongated line there in North Alabama that goes back toward Highway 65. These storms in western Alabama were prompting not only severe thunderstorm warnings, but also tornado warnings. Now, this is a good sign that what we were seeing back in western Alabama earlier, we had a tornado warning. If you were watching us here streaming on 11 Alive Plus, I did a long stream really from 7 to almost to 8:15 with this line of storms. We were watching a tornado warning that was back here near Columbus, Mississippi, that was up in this area here, that extended over into western Alabama, and then again into parts of western Alabama, north of Tuscaloosa, closer to Jasper, Alabama, where we had 3 tornado warnings there. The good news is now that they have not issued any new tornado warnings as that line gets closer to Birmingham. And again, we have to watch it to see if anything ramps back up, but we don't even have any additional severe thunderstorm warnings with that. So that is a good sign that at least we didn't see that tornado warning or even severe thunderstorms with that hold together. But as we're going to keep a really close eye on this as this is moving closer to Birmingham, then this part stretches back still into Mississippi, where we do have additional severe thunderstorm warnings in effect in parts of Mississippi there. And then those go down to the Gulf Coast and back into parts of Louisiana too. So that's a severe part of this too, that's crossing over the line from Mississippi into western Alabama there along I-20. That's well to the west of Montgomery. So as I kind of widen out a little bit so you can get perspective of what we're watching, this kind of shows you that elongated line. So even though we have this near Huntsville or east of Huntsville approaching northwest Georgia right now, all right, that's that part, but then we have all of this still west of Birmingham that still has to go through Birmingham. It's this part of the line that we're watching to move into West Georgia and then Atlanta a little bit later. And then this part of the line still in Mississippi that still has to cross all the way through Alabama that would be impacting some of our southern counties and down into central Georgia and also South Georgia. So it's really just a elongated line of storms impacting a lot of people here in the southeast. And then eventually that's going to make it into Georgia. So that's going to be our challenge through the rest of the morning hours this morning as we watch those storms moving on through to see how they hold together through Birmingham, whether or not they weaken moving into Georgia or whether or not they ramp up moving into Georgia. And the thing we have to watch is the timing of these storms. We'll be bringing them in at the time of optimum heating during the day in those afternoon hours when we get a little bit warmer. But the trick with that is it's not going to be a lot warmer this afternoon. We're already mild at this hour in the low to mid 60s. We're going to be moving into the upper 60s to maybe lower 70s this afternoon. So it's not like we're surging up to the 80s where if we had that much warm air, that would really feed these storms to be stronger for the afternoon hours. So we're not expecting that, but we are seeing the temperatures that'll be moving up 5-6 degrees into the afternoon hours, and whether that's going to be enough heating to make these storms fire up even more, that's what we're going to have to be watching here for the lunchtime hour and into the afternoon hours as this line moves in. So this does look pretty impressive here. The yellow areas that you see highlighted, that's where we have severe thunderstorm watches in effect. That's another thing that I'm kind of interested in seeing, that the Storm Prediction Center is not issuing tornado watches with this. It's severe thunderstorm watches. You can still get tornadoes within a severe thunderstorm watch, but it's just indicating that the environment may not be as ripe for widespread tornadoes to develop. So that's kind of a little better thing for us, that we're not seeing any tornado watches right now. They are severe thunderstorm watches. You have to take those seriously. But that just goes to show us that the tornado risk here is mainly on the lower end for those afternoon hours. Now, it is possible, number one, that the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service could extend that severe thunderstorm watch into Georgia, and we're expecting that to happen at some point this morning, especially as we get closer to the afternoon hours. But it'll be interesting to see if they then elevate it possibly into a tornado watch for eastern Alabama and into Georgia. The tools that we use, though, are not really giving us any indications of any heightened tornado parameters developing in our area. I'm going to show you the significant tornado parameter coming up in just a little bit. But here is that line of storms, again, as we widen out a little bit more, as it goes through Alabama, back into Mississippi. In Atlanta, we just have the clouds, a couple of spotty showers right now. But this part here, east of Huntsville, is going to be moving into northwest Georgia first, and then we'll have all of this getting into Birmingham and then West Georgia and eastern Alabama around 11, 12 o'clock this morning, and then through metro Atlanta from lunchtime to about 2 o'clock, and then east of us by 3 and 4 o'clock this afternoon. So it's going to be a long process watching these storms. And what Chesley and I are going to be doing, and our entire weather impact team, is we're going to be analyzing what is happening with these storms, whether or not they're going to show signs of weakening through Alabama, or if they're going to ramp up potentially moving into Georgia at the time of the afternoon hours when things get a little more active. I'm just checking here. to make sure we don't have any new updates from the National Weather Service or the Storm Prediction Center. Nothing new coming in. I just heard my phone kind of going off a little bit. I just wanted to make sure we didn't get anything new coming in right now. But that again is what we're watching with these storms as they push through our area. We have that severe thunderstorm watch covering a big part of Alabama, but it does extend over into northwest Georgia. Dade, Walker, Catoosa County, Chattooga County in this severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon. And it's possible they could even extend that watch to include more counties, or more likely is that they would issue a brand new watch to include more counties in West Georgia, potentially into the Metro Atlanta area. So that's the other thing Chesley and I are going to be watching here through those morning hours to see just how that all is going to be impacting us with any new watches to be issued a little bit later on. So we issued our weather impact alert last week to alert you of those storms that we were anticipating for today. And the time frame is really from now until about 3 o'clock this afternoon for those chances to be higher for any severe strong thunderstorms to move in. The main threats we're watching will be pockets of heavy rain and some strong wind, maybe damaging wind in association with some of these storms in our area later on this afternoon. So what you need to do right now, if you're watching us, thank you for watching us, because we know that you're hungry for weather information. We're here to give that to you. Stay alert through those late morning and early afternoon hours. Make sure you have a plan if any warnings are issued for your area, and just know that it is possible for severe storms to move through. Make sure on your cell phone you have the wireless emergency alerts activated, so that if you are in one of those polygons, whether it's severe thunderstorm polygon or a tornado warning polygon, it will activate your phone to go off to alert you of any tornado warnings that are moving through the area. Also, have a plan. Just know, talk with your kids about after school. Things may be a little bit different after school as we're tracking those storms moving in. And just know that at your school, the school is really a good place for your kids to be. They have a plan for any kids who are in trailers to come into the bigger structure there. They practice tornado drills. The kids know where they're supposed to go when any tornadoes could be happening here. And I know it's a little disconcerting at bus time if kids are on a bus during a severe storm, but in the schools should be monitoring that as well, and making sure that any kids aren't getting out on a bus in any severe thunderstorms today. We have that level 3 of 5 risk for much of our area. It includes all of Metro Atlanta, to east toward Athens, toward Augusta, Macon, down to the south into central Georgia. The level 3 of 5 risk means that conditions are likely in the atmosphere that we're going to have some stronger storms that could be more than 1 or 2 severe thunderstorms, could be numerous severe thunderstorms with damaging winds being a possibility, and a low risk for tornadoes. The level 2 risk indicating more scattered or fewer stronger storms, and then the level 1 risk is only isolated stronger storms in far north Georgia back into North Alabama. So those are going to be the threats that we're watching. And as I mentioned earlier when I was showing you the weather impact graphic, the main things: a higher risk for pockets of heavy rain, higher risk for strong winds, but the tornado risk is on the lower end. Hail risk is also on the lower end. I don't think we're going to see widespread hail or really any type of widespread tornado outbreak. We're just talking about the potential for any tornadoes to occur here through those afternoon hours. Now, this is the significant tornado parameter. This is one of the tools that we have that looks at the environment to see if, as storms move through, is the environment favorable, more favorable, or less favorable for rotating storms to develop. And I have to be honest with you, this significant tornado parameter is really not that impressive. We were seeing just a little bit of yellow here west of Birmingham a little bit earlier, but we're not seeing that. This is taking us to the 10 o'clock hour. The white color that you see here just shows a low risk for our environment to be more conducive or more favorable for any tornadoes to develop. And it's just on the lower end through the afternoon hours. This is at 12:30. We're thinking at that time frame, again, 11 o'clock to 12 in West Georgia, 12 to 2 here in the Metro Atlanta area, when we're going to see that better chance for some storms. Yes, sir, Chesley? Okay. Okay, okay, okay. I'll do it. I'll do it. Me do the 856? Okay, cool, cool, cool.
All right, thank you.
Cool. So again, watching here, those storms that will have that potential to be a little bit stronger and a lower risk for some isolated tornadoes to be pushing through our area, and then continuing to watch that here as it moves on through Monday. This evening here, really low risk. Everything's pretty much going to be out of here by 4 o'clock this afternoon, and continuing to watch that system as it moves on over to the east of us, and much calmer weather as it continues to move on over to the east here with those storms that will be moving on out of our area. Here's a look at what we're watching with the temperatures. Now, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, where we have temperatures. Oftentimes when we see the heating of the day, those temperatures really feed in to the environment to make things a little more unstable when it gets really warm here into those afternoon hours, and that helps to feed those storms pushing through. 67 is our temperature out there right now. And we're only thinking we're going to get up to 69 or 70. So it's not like we're expecting to see those storms that will get feeding into some really warm air, like if we got into the lower 80s today. We're just not expecting that. But still, the storms are moving through in the heat of the day, but we're thinking that heat of the day is only going to be around 69, 70 degrees, maybe 71 degrees today. And again, that might be enough to still kind of feed into some of that instability. But here's that time frame. This is what we're just talking about, 11 to 3. All right, that's the time frame when we think things are going to start being going to be getting a little more active, with thunderstorms developing, and the main time frame for the Metro Atlanta area will be really about noon to 2 o'clock in the afternoon as that line pushes through our area with those pockets of heavy rain, also the thunder and lightning, and those stronger storms that'll keep pushing on off to the east. By 3 o'clock, it starts diminishing a little bit more, and by 5, 6 o'clock, it's all out of here. It's well to the east of us. So it's just going to be this time frame, late morning through the afternoon hours, when things are going to be a little more active. So here is that time frame that we're watching right now. Again, remember, we're talking about that elongated line where the first part that's over into Huntsville now moves through northwest Georgia. All right, so we've got this that we're watching in northwest Georgia first. That keeps moving on off to the east of us. By 10 o'clock, these storms in Alabama, and again, those stronger ones at 10 o'clock around Birmingham, those keep pushing to the east. So between 10 and lunchtime, that's when that's going to be moving through Cleburne and Randolph County, closer to the noontime hour, but still North Georgia, getting in on some of these storms there. So that's the part that we're watching for them, and then continuing to push down to the south. And then through Atlanta, this is from 1 to 2 to just after 2 o'clock, these heavier storms moving through. That'll be the time frame for that potential for some damaging wind possible, and the potential for that line of storms pushing on over to the east of us. And then by 3, 4 o'clock, well to the east of us. By 4 o'clock, it's already cleared past Athens and Lake Oconee. And then we have a much quieter weather outlook for us out there for tonight, too. So that is a rundown of what we're watching right now. I just did this little 20-minute extended weather discussion. I'm going to bring this down for about 10 minutes. And then I will be joining you from our studio at 9 o'clock here on 11 Alive Plus. And we'll have team coverage throughout the morning. We'll be able to check in with Ariana Manise, who is in our 11 Alive Weather Impact Tracker in parts of northwest Georgia, to see how those conditions are looking there in areas of North Georgia. So stay with us here throughout the morning and into the afternoon here on 11 Alive Plus. We will cut into programming when necessary on 11 Alive if any tornado warnings are issued. But right now, most of our extended coverage is here on 11 Alive Plus, so share this with your friends and let them know that we are covering this here for you. Stay with us. We'll have much more for you coming up in about 10 minutes. I'll be in the studio with more on 11 Alive Plus here as we're tracking these storms moving through. this is the time Chesley usually is hosting The Take. Well, we're taking over The Take this morning to talk to you about strong storms that are going to be moving through our area, getting into the later morning hours and into those afternoon hours. Chesley will be joining us over at the weather wall here in just a moment. But before we get to that, I want to break down for you what we are watching through the morning hours and into the afternoon. We're going to be going live to Ariana Manise and our weather impact tracker in just a little while in Northwest Georgia. Even though things aren't crazy in Northwest Georgia yet, we have positioned her and her driver in those parts of Northwest Georgia because those are the areas that are going to be getting hit first with some of those stronger storms. So far today, or this morning, we've been watching just general showers that have been moving through our area. North Georgia has been the area getting a few more of those showers today or early this morning, but they haven't been particularly heavy. We had only one cell around the 6 o'clock hour in Northwest Georgia that the National Weather Service issued what they call a special weather statement on that. It wasn't severe, just had some heavy rain with it and some gusty winds, and that moved up into North Carolina. That's actually what is left of that right now. Now in North Georgia, we have just some general showers where the atmosphere, a little more moisture there, a little better chance for a few showers here in this initial part for some of that rain. And again, you can see up into parts of Pickens County, moving into the northern parts of Dawson County, where we have a little heavier shower. Gilmer County, Fannin County, we have some pockets of moderate rain moving through, and even a few lighter showers here on the north side. Generally just some windshield spotters there that actually makes the pollen on your windshield kind of smear a little bit more. Not really heavy rain coming through there, but as you can see here, those showers in North Georgia moving up toward the north and the east. This is the part though back into Alabama that we're watching. This, if you've been watching us this morning, I've been telling you about this elongated line of showers and storms. The first part of that is in North Alabama moving into Northwest Georgia. That extends back into Western Alabama and then into Mississippi. And every part of that line is important with the timeline depending on impacting Northwest Georgia first and then the Metro Atlanta area during the afternoon or during the lunchtime hour into early afternoon, and then Central Georgia later in the afternoon hour. So here again is a look at that. This is a look at that initial line as it moves in. This did prompt some severe thunderstorm warnings back near Huntsville a little bit earlier. We don't have any new severe thunderstorm warnings with that as that line is getting closer here to Northwest Georgia. I also mentioned earlier, you see this yellow part here, and I'll show you closer the tornado or the severe thunderstorm watch, but parts of Northwest Georgia are in the severe thunderstorm watch. Dade, Walker, Catoosa County, and also Chattooga County in that severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So that's why Northwest Georgia has to watch this part of the storm first. Now again, that did prompt severe thunderstorm warnings earlier back into Huntsville and just to the east of Huntsville. But right now we don't have any warnings with that. So that's a good sign. We also are watching that line, though, as it goes along Highway 65 there near Coleman, Alabama. And then these storms are getting closer to Birmingham right now. I want to zoom in a little bit closer to the Birmingham area. And you can see here that line getting closer to Birmingham. And Chesley has been on air with you since 4:30 this morning, watching this line moving on through. And we did have 3 tornado warnings coming out of Mississippi and into western Alabama, still west of Birmingham and north of Tuscaloosa, but we haven't had any new tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings with that as that line gets closer to Birmingham. But still some heavy rain coming through, also some thunder and lightning. I'm going to put the lightning on here for just a moment so you can see how active the lightning is with these storms. See all that? Yeah, so that just goes to show, yeah, a lot of thunder and lightning with this, some gusty winds and pockets of heavy rain, but no tornado warnings right now in Alabama, no severe thunderstorm warnings. Now that doesn't mean we won't see that when it gets into our area, because as these storms move in, it's going to be at the time of day when we have the optimum heating. But the optimum heating is only going to be a few degrees warmer than we are right now. We're not expecting to get into the 80s or anything today. We're just going to be in the upper 60s and lower 70s, and we're already in the mid 60s right now. So we're only going to see a small range of temperatures as they're going to be headed up today by maybe another 4 or 5 degrees. These storms also extend back to along the Gulf Coast region. All the yellow boxes that you see here, that's where we have severe thunderstorm watches that are in effect. And then the smaller polygons along that is where we have severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. And that's in the southern parts of Mississippi, southern Alabama, and also into Louisiana. So that's what we're watching, and that's why we're here for you. That's why we issued the weather impact alert last week, to alert you of the potential for today for those severe storms to be moving through our area. And that, of course, is again what we're going to be watching here for those late afternoon hours and into the early evening hours as well, or really lunchtime hours into the middle afternoon. Evening, it's going to be out of here. There again is a look at that severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect here for our area. And Chesley is going to join me here in just a second. But Chesley, we're talking about, again, that weather impact alert today until 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's when we think it's going to be exiting the counties to the east of us, getting past Athens and getting past Lake Oconee. We think between 3 and 4 o'clock. The main things we're going to be watching will be those pockets of heavy rain and strong winds. So really, Chesley, what we're telling everybody today is just to stay alert, be aware of these storms moving through, and in that time frame, 11 to noon in West Georgia, noon to 2, maybe a little after 2 through the Metro Atlanta area, and then after 3, 4 o'clock, pretty much exiting those eastern counties, Chesley.
Yeah, timing that we're probably not used to, right?
Right.
You know, used to having it overnight here lately. It's been overnight, and then mainly in the late afternoon is when we start to see severe weather at least move through our area. But we've been tracking these storms, as Chris just mentioned. This is a huge system. It stretches all the way up into Canada, was in eastern parts of Texas, and then moved into Louisiana. You can see the numerous lightning strikes along with this that extend all the way down through Alabama. Your severe weather threat now is well down to the south of us over into the New Orleans area, but we've been watching these, and as Chris mentioned, there have been some severe weather popping up right along that. We've had a couple tornado warnings along that line, also severe thunderstorm warnings along the line as well. Slow mover has been slowing down just a little bit, where initially we were looking at the models that had him pushing into our far northwestern counties as early as 7, 8 o'clock, and now you can see it just now on the back doorstep where we have some of those thunderstorms. A lot of this moving further off to the north, but we will get some of this energy in here, those lightning strikes pushing into parts of Dade, Walker County, probably within the next 30 to 45 minutes. They'll be pushing into your area, and then right along our northernmost counties, our bordering counties up here to the north, eventually getting into the metro area as we head into mid-morning and into early afternoon, where we'll see those winds really start to pick up. Our winds so far have been out of the south on the lighter side. We've seen some of these isolated showers around. Some of that could be helping us out a little bit, help to stabilize the atmosphere a little bit as well. But when that energy gets in here, we're expecting to see things begin to turn or take a turn for the worse as far as the lightning strikes go, as far as the very heavy rain, and also the gusty winds associated with a few of these thunderstorms that will move into the forecast area. And we can't rule out the tornadoes, folks. We've been seeing those warnings popping up back off to the west of us, so that's something I have to watch out for. You see that the severe thunderstorm watches extend into our far northwestern county right now, up into Dade, Walker County, down toward Floyd County as well, and you can see the numerous thunderstorms along this line as well. Now this morning when I came in, it started out as a fragmented line, but has begun to fill in a little bit as it moved through parts of Mississippi and now starting to enter into parts of Alabama, eventually making its way over toward us. As Chris mentioned, the daytime heating does apply to this, right? As we get into the latter part of the day, that heating will add some energy to this and could make it for a rough go. Especially for parts, I'm thinking south of the city of Atlanta as it moves for a little bit further down to the south and east. And we're expecting that to be the case after about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. So things we'll have to watch out for. Again, numerous lightning strikes, so that could lead to some issues for us as well, along with the gusty winds and the heavy rain. That will be our major threat with this particular storm system that's going to come through. You see the southerly flow out ahead of it, keeping those temperatures in the 60s. And as Chris mentioned, we won't see those temperatures climb all that much thanks to the thick cloud cover that's over us now. And then that rain comes in, and that will help to cool it off just a little bit more. So I think we'll stay in the 60s for a little while. Once that storm system passes us, then we'll start to see the clouds break down. Any amount of sunshine that we receive, of course, will help to heat that temperature up. And so we're expecting a high today in the low 70s, but that will be after the front passes our forecast area. Again, just back off to the west of us. Right now it's just after 9 o'clock, but we're expecting by 11 for it to be right up along the border and then eventually by noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, moving through the metro and then further over toward the east as we go. Storm Prediction Center has placed a level 3 threat just north of the city of Atlanta and southward. That's this tan area that you see. We call it an enhanced risk for severe weather, which means severe weather is likely in our forecast area. Just to the north of that, over toward the Rome area into our northernmost counties, is a level 2 threat. A slight risk is what we call that, where there could be some isolated strong to severe thunderstorms around. And so it's things that we're watching out for. They have bumped this up just a little bit as of the last update. Now we don't have any green in our area at all. You see Dayton, Walker County are under the yellow there, or that slight risk for severe weather. So we'll be watching that. But the tan area is really where we're concerned for those brief spin up tornadoes, especially in our area. So we're looking at heavy rain, of course. That's going to lead to some pounding on the roadways, maybe a little bit of flooding. Flash flooding could be taking place. Strong winds up to about 60, maybe even up to 70 miles per hour in a few of those thunderstorms. Tornado threat low, but I'd say on low to the moderate side. Anytime you have an enhanced risk for severe weather, certainly that's something that we have to look out for. And the hail threat is very low for this afternoon. Not ruled out, but certainly on the low side. Here is our forecast track model. You can follow along with me with the time right there at the top of the screen. It shows where we have some of the rain pushing into our far northwestern counties. And you can see by the time we get to noon, some of those thunderstorms starting to move into Floyd County, all the way down to Carroll County. Some of that moving into parts of Bartow County as well. We'll get the strong winds and heavy rain pushing into the metro area. Timing for this particular model between 1 and 2 o'clock this afternoon. That's when some of that heavy rain will be with us. So that's where you're going to need the time frame to be anchored down into your safe place, just in case some of these tornadoes start to spin up in our area. You'll already be in place where you can be safe. It starts to slide a little further over toward the east of us. By the time we get to 3 and 4 o'clock, you can see it well now east of the Athens area. Over still toward Eatonton, but moving toward the east by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. A lot of this starting to clear out. You can see the metro area clear, where we have at least some sunshine maybe breaking through the clouds, which is where our temperature will start to get into the low 70s. And then we'll be continuing to clear it out as we head into Monday night into Tuesday. So 7-day outlook shows our temperatures really warming up, Chris. You're looking at 80s coming our way later on this week. In fact, looking at temperatures approaching the 90-degree mark by Friday. But it's today. Our 11 Live weather impact alert for today with the rain that's right there on the back doorstep, going to be pushing into the forecast area, and will bring in the threat for severe weather to the area, mainly between the hours of about, I'd say, between 11 and 3 o'clock this afternoon, especially for the metro area and to the west. To be looking out for those thunderstorms to push in, and as they move in, it's those gusty winds is going to be a major problem for us. Could topple over trees, could lead to some power outages in the area as well. So something that you need to be on the lookout for. I know a lot of you like to go out for lunch. You definitely want to keep an eye on the sky, and hopefully you have your notifications on your app, our 11 Live app, plugged in, so that if any severe weather happens in your area, of course, we'll be here to update you, and you'll get that alert right there on your phone. Chris, over to you.
Yeah, Chesley, we've been breaking down those storm threats that we're going to be seeing today, and we've lowered the tornado threat from moderate to low, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. I'm going to have Chesley come over here. We're going to kind of talk through the significant tornado parameter in just a second, but the main threats we're watching with this is that heavy rain and strong winds are on the higher end. The tornado risk is on the low end, and the hail risk is on the low end. And Chesley, if you want to step in just for a moment, this is the significant tornado parameter. And the white, or the kind of grayish color we see here, is the very low. And when you see the yellows and reds, that's when that tornado environment gets a lot more active.
Right.
And this isn't that impressive. It was showing a little bit of yellow and orange back into Alabama and West Alabama, where we did have a couple of tornado warnings earlier. But if you look at this at 10 o'clock, yes, these storms are going to be moving through Alabama, but what this tells us is where the environment is a little more conducive for rotation to develop. And this is not really any high indicators of a lot of rotation. This takes us to 1230, and yes, we do have some gray there, which is a lower environment for rotation, but it's encouraging to us. I mean, we don't want people to let their guards down.
Absolutely.
But this is actually encouraging to us with the latest model data coming in, that we're not seeing those yellows and oranges and reds with a significant tornado parameter.
What may have helped us out is the cloud cover.
Yes.
A little bit of rain that we've had in the area early on. Timing is also key. As you said, we're not getting into the maximum daytime heating by 12 o'clock. And so that will probably take place a little bit further off to the south and east of us. And so as it moves through, very encouraging that we're on the low end as far as tornadoes go. But doesn't mean we can't get a brief spin up. So you need to be on the lookout.
And that's what the thing that we want to make people aware of. Don't let your guard down. Yes, we are expecting a line with heavy rain, strong thunderstorms, damaging wind, but tornado risk is on the lower end, but it's not zero.
Right.
So don't let your guard down, because that's what we're going to be watching there as this moves through. And then as we head through the 6 o'clock hour, all of that's going to be out of here by then. And there is still the front that'll be passing through at that time. There could be an isolated cell that might pop up later on, but I really think after 3, 4 o'clock, it's going to be pretty much to the east of Athens and east of Lake Oconee.
That heavy rain comes through, will mix up the atmosphere on us a little bit. So even as that front moves through, we don't anticipate a whole lot. But as Chris mentioned, anytime you have a lifting mechanism, you get that uplift, you can get something coming through. But likely that'll all be gone because of that heavy rain that's pushed through.
All right, we'll get back to Chesley here in just a minute here. He'll have a lot more for us too. But Chesley did mention here, talking about the optimum heating. Right now we're at 67 degrees in Atlanta. We're not seeing big ranges in our temperatures. Now, yes, it is a little cooler in the mountains in Blairsville and Clayton, 58 in Blairsville, Clayton is 62. But all of us pretty uniform here in the mid 60s, some upper 60s like Covington at 68. We're at 67, Duluth is 67, 67 in Peachtree City, LaGrange. So pretty uniform temperatures all around. Now, we do expect to warm up a little bit, but we're only talking about warming up only a couple more, maybe a few more degrees, maybe getting up to around upper 60s and lower 70s today. So even though these storms, the timing brings this in at the time frame where we see the warmest part of the day, we're not talking about 80-degree temperatures, where if we had that, that would really add a lot of fuel to these storms. But we're just talking about going up by only a few degrees here into those afternoon hours. So the hour by hour shows you here 69 at noon. That is the time frame as these storms are moving in from West Georgia into Metro Atlanta. So at 10 o'clock, we have clouds and some low risk for showers here in Atlanta, but in West Georgia, that's going to start ramping up between 10 and noon in West Georgia. And then noon here in Metro Atlanta, more action here. By 2 o'clock, still 100% chance for rain here. So noon to 2 is our more active time here in the Metro Atlanta area. And with that rain, it might drop the temperatures a few degrees back to the mid 60s. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, most of that rain is going to be off to the east of us. The line of storms will be over near Athens and Eatonton, we're thinking, between 3 and 4 o'clock. And then look at this, by 6, 8, 10 o'clock, we're drying out and temperatures fall back to about 62 degrees. So I'm going to walk you through the timeline here of what we're watching with these storms moving through northwest Georgia, through North Georgia. Remember, an elongated line of severe weather and stronger storms stretching from northwest Georgia. So while we're talking about these storms in northwest Georgia, this part of the line is still west of Birmingham. So that's why northwest Georgia is going to get hit by some of these showers and storms first. I believe Ariana Manise is standing by right now in our 11 Alive weather impact tracker. Speaking of northwest Georgia, they have been positioning themselves this morning through our morning show. Even though we knew it wouldn't be storming in northwest Georgia during the morning show, they were there throughout the morning hours just to let you know what they're seeing, positioning themselves to be in the right place for these storms as they're going to be moving through. Let's go to Ariana right now. And Ariana, we know it's not too active there. Have y'all just seen some spotty showers here and there, but you're getting ready for that main line to be approaching pretty soon?
Yes, Chris, we've been seeing that all morning. We drove for about 2 hours. We even went as far as west as Tennessee. Early this morning around 7 a.m. we made our way to the Chattanooga area, and that's where we started to see flashes of lightning. I'm going to give you a live look at the roads right now. We've been tracking road conditions and kind of watching that change throughout the morning. Right now we're driving on I-75 south of the Dalton area, and conditions overall pretty calm. The change that we've really seen is rain coming down more consistently. Right now, actually, as I'm talking to you, we went from a misty rain back to the heavier raindrops, and that's just really the back and forth that we've been seeing all morning. Now, this morning, like I mentioned, we went as far as west as Tennessee. We saw the rain pick up. We saw the flashes of lightning. It was still dark by the time we made our way up west, and that's when we started to see, I would say, probably like 4 flashes of lightning over the course of 30 minutes. Now, as you and Chesley have been talking about, what we'll really be watching once we get closer to the metro is just how driving conditions will change. Now, once the storms do arrive, the main concerns that you guys been mentioning have been the damaging winds and heavy downpours, and that's when conditions on the road will really change. And that's why you really want to time out what time you have to go out if you do need to leave, because you want to make sure you're at least in the house, because, you know, when we're out on the roads doing, you know, tracking coverage like this and watching the rain conditions change, you have reduced visibility, you feel the winds rocking your car back and forth, and with the heavy winds, you have the possibility of down tree, especially when you get into those neighborhoods. So you just want to plan ahead at this point. But once again, you kind of see, since I've been talking, that change and how suddenly it's been changing as we've been in Northwest Georgia. You see the mist, the raindrops, they pick up, it goes back to the mist, and then the kind of rain, it just trails off. So that's really what we've been seeing since this morning. We've been on the road since about 5 a.m. making our way to Northwest Georgia. We've been seeing that change consistently, and as we've been moving more south, that's when we kind of started to see that rain really pick up, Chris.
All right, Ariana, that was a perfect example of what you showed us there. We could see on the windshield it go for just a few more raindrops there, and then all of a sudden not as many. So that is a perfect example of what we're talking about with some of these spotty showers in advance of that main line that's going to be coming in for you in just a little while there in Northwest Georgia. For us, a little bit later here in the metro area. Thanks, Ariana, for that report. And speaking of those road conditions, let's go to Julie Smith right now. Julie, I know it's not a lot of rain or storms happening here in Atlanta, but it is normal traffic, and it's a little heavier in some spots than it is in others.
That's absolutely right. And what's interesting, Chris, is in some areas it's lighter than it normally is. And then it's just those little spots. As you said, this is one of those small spots. This heavier traffic you see here, and the construction equipment as well. I-20, this is westbound at Farrington Road, just before Panola Road. Now, if I go there on the map, you'll see this was red just a moment ago, but it's starting to go into orange. This could turn red again, but that's why I put the drive time so you could get an idea of about how fast these folks are going. This is normal stuff. This is not anything to do, obviously, with any rain that we're seeing yet, but that's what I look for when we've got weather coming in, and especially when that rain starts coming down. You have certain areas that really start to light up on the map. I'm actually going to back up just a little bit because I wanted to give you another wide view of the metro, because you do see a lot more green on this map than we are used to seeing this time of morning. But again, the hottest spot is what I just showed you. Also the downtown connector northbound as you approach I-20, and then a little bit in Gwinnett County as well, southbound I-85. But no major accidents to report right now. That is good news. I'm going to keep an eye on things for you, like you said, and like Ariana said, when things do start to change, they change quickly.
All right, Julie, thank you so much for that update here on the roads. And again, we'll have to watch those roads throughout the afternoon hours, too. I'm going to walk you quickly through here the timeline. Then I'm going to go back to Chesley, and he can break down again that line of showers and storms coming into Northwest Georgia right now. But here's a look at what we're watching through the morning hours. This bit going through North Georgia. This is at 10 o'clock, where we can see that far northern extent of that elongated line of storms moving through Fannin County and also Gilmer County here, and then approaching Union and Towns County. That'll stretch back toward the Rome area. Again, that's at 10 o'clock, but still that main part of the system is just into Birmingham at the 10 o'clock hour, really in the next hour or so. So we're going to be watching that part from Birmingham moving into Cleburne and Randolph County. We're thinking around lunchtime here, and we already have Northwest and West Georgia in some of those showers and storms, with that main part here then crossing the line in the noon hour to about 1 to 2. By 2 o'clock, that heaviest rain is really right over Metro Atlanta here to the north and stretching down to the south, where it could be a little stronger on the south side from Atlanta down to South Fulton, into Fayette, Clayton counties, into parts of Meriwether County, moving into Pike and Lamar County. But then watch how quickly this is going to jump ahead 2 hours. It goes from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and look at that. by 4, it's already east of Athens and Eatonton. It's already cleared through our viewing area, and conditions are going to be nicer back behind this. Just the thing we're watching, the actual front won't move through till after we see those arrows moving to the north and west, but we think that our atmosphere will already be stabilized a little bit more, not to have any additional real storms with that when the actual front passes on through. So Chesley, it's going to be a long morning watching this go, because it's got to go from Alabama all the way through Georgia, but the individual line is going to be pretty quickly as it moves through your particular area.
That's absolutely right, which is why there's not a big time flooding threat, because if it was really much slow, we'd be looking at some prolonged rain in the forecast area, but Willie will move through and then get on out of here. You can see down to the south, well down to the south, into southern portions of Mississippi, down toward the coastline there. A tornado warning just popped up there. We've been talking about that as long as we've been tracking this line. There have been some tornado warnings popping up here and there. We haven't had numerous tornado warnings, but there have been a couple so far. This would probably be the 4th or 5th one that popped up since I've been in this morning with this line that's passing through. A lot of the severe weather now down to the south. We do have severe thunderstorm watches in effect that extend into our far northwestern corner of the state, but most of the activity currently down to the south. Now you see all the energy associated with this, lots of numerous lightning strikes associated with this, so this has some energy. It's packing quite a punch here as it continues to push through and will continue to slide further off to the east. It's getting closer to our area now, and you can see up into our far northwestern counties, just now starting to get in on some of that rain, that steady rain coming down parts of Dade, Walker County. You'll get in on some of those thunder strikes. In fact, if you're in that area now, you probably can hear some of that thunder approaching the area. So far, we've just seen some few isolated showers. They may have had a little bit of yellow in there indicating some moderate rain coming down, but that has been it. Haven't seen any lightning strikes so far, anything like that, but coming in likely by mid-morning, we'll say late mid-morning into early afternoon is where you're going to see really some of the thunderstorms impact our area. As I mentioned to Chris earlier, this is not the perfect timing for us, or something that we're used to when it comes to severe weather coming in the mid-morning or the middle part of the day. A lot of folks like to get out and get their lunch, or just have some early errands they like to run. Well, you may have to pay really close attention to where the storms are in the forecast area if that's your plans for this afternoon. Here's a closer look now. You can see up here toward the north where here's the border here to Georgia and Alabama, and again, we're right on the back doorstep there, so momentarily we'll start to see those storms move in. Now this is going to move almost due east, and so we'll start to see some of those thunderstorms spreading over toward Dalton, eventually into Ellijay, up into Fannin County as well. We'll start to see some of those thunderstorms spread, making their way a little bit further to the south a little bit later on. So you're talking about maybe that's by the time we get to 10 o'clock, making it into Floyd County over toward the Rome area, and then further down to the south, down toward the Atlanta metro area as we head into the afternoon. So between noon and 2 o'clock, that's where we'll start to see some of the impacts of some of that heavy rain that will be pushing into our forecast area there. Here's a wider look now, and you can see where we overlaid the severe thunderstorm watches that are in effect. And again, that does right now extend into our far northwestern counties. This could extend a little bit further off to the east. Right now, there are no warnings associated with this part of the line that's going to come toward us. Most of your warnings are a little bit further down to the south, where you see that red in there. That's a tornado warning right there. You have some of these gold boxes in here indicating a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. Chris, we have seen and know that a lot of the energy in these storms can shift either to the north or down to the south of us. Perhaps that maybe was taking place. This was a little bit stronger. The line that's really headed toward us was a little bit stronger back off to the west. As it moved out of Mississippi into Alabama, that's where we saw a tornado warning. It was extended, and then it began to die out as it got closer to Birmingham, and so a good sign for us. We did have a tornado watch up here in northern parts of Alabama that they decided to drop, and so now we're maybe starting to see a little bit more less dynamics. As Chris mentioned earlier, just not seeing the energy enough for tornadoes, but certainly the winds will be a major factor. And we've been talking about that since last week, that the major threat with these storms would be the very heavy rain that's coming down, and also those winds. Winds can do damage, folks. Winds up to maybe 60 or 70 miles per hour could certainly pull your shingles off your home, certainly knock over some trees, which would lead to power outages. And so that's something that we'll have to watch out for, especially as we head further into the afternoon. Again, the timing for us would bring this in to the metro area likely between noon and 2, Chris, is what we're saying, right?
Exactly right, and that's going to be the time frame for that moving in. I just, as you were talking, Chesley, there's a special weather statement. Chesley was talking about these at the same time that this statement was issued here for those storms coming into northwest Georgia, talking about really what he was already telling you. From Walker and Dade counties, we have storms along the line extending from Orme to Bridgepoint. That's over in Alabama, moving east at 30 miles an hour. The main impacts from that, 40-mile-an-hour winds and some heavy rain. So that's what is about to move in to Dade and Walker County. Again, with this part of the storm right there, that's the part that has those 40-mile-per-hour winds with it. Again, not classified as a severe thunderstorm. It's below severe thunderstorm limits. It's just a special statement from the National Weather Service as that moves over into Dade and Walker County. So that's the first part of the line as we're moving in. As we're approaching the 9:30 hour, what we're going to do is we're going to hold on with you until about 9:45. And then we're going to take a break. We'll go to our weather maps here on 11 Alive Plus, and then join you again at 10 o'clock for more coverage here throughout the morning hours. But we just might want to take a little bit of a break to regroup a little bit here for just a few minutes in just a little while. So we're going to keep going right now at least through 9:45, and then maybe take a little break. So we'll see what we're going to do with that. So we're watching those storms again stretching through Birmingham right now. So the heaviest of the rain is over into Birmingham, and this is the part of the system that we have to watch to then move into Cleburne and Randolph County, there into West Georgia, and then continuing to move into the Atlanta area. And watching that line and just seeing how that's going to hold together and how that's going to work through the rest of the morning hours and into the afternoon. If we see these ramping up anymore for the early afternoon with those few degrees of heating, that's what we'll have to keep an eye on here as that line continues to push on from Birmingham and into Atlanta. So it still has a ways to go before it gets to the Atlanta area. But this part of it, again, that elongated line, that's not a straight line. It's not like it's from Birmingham to Huntsville. It's extending already over into northwest Georgia. But this is the part back in Birmingham now that we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for it to get into Atlanta. Unlike northwest Georgia, that's already going to be getting hit with this pretty quickly or pretty soon now with some of those stronger storms. But the good news is we don't have any warnings with it right now. Behind that line, you can see some flood warnings that developed because of the heavy rain that moved through. But we're not even really overly concerned, excuse me, about any flood warnings here, just because of the quick movement of those storms. We hope it's going to be some good heavy rain that might wash away the pollen, but it's not going to be parked on us for a long time because of the line moving through pretty quickly here. So that's what we'll keep watching there as that line continues to move in. Now, notice this. There's that line coming into northwest Georgia, but ahead of it in North Georgia, we've already been getting some scattered showers moving through. And then this one, north of Dahlonega, they're coming out of the southern parts of Fannin County and into northern Lumpkin County. That has a little bit of heavy rain with it. I'm going to pop up our University of North Georgia tower cam so we can get a closer look at that in North Georgia. In fact, let me get that up here for you so you can see here what we're watching in Lumpkin County. Now, we do have a storm or a heavier shower that is moving through northern Lumpkin County right now. And you can see, looking over the University of North Georgia, low clouds, some fog in some spots, but the heaviest rain is north of the University of North Georgia, north of Dahlonega right now, where we have that heaviest rain that is pushing through right now. While I'm here, I also want to show you our Rome camera because we have some darker clouds now in Rome, and the wind has been blowing. You see this little cloud here that's a little thicker there, some lowering with that, but no heavy rain in Rome yet, but it will be approaching Rome in just a little bit with those heavier showers and storms that will keep moving on through. Chesley, I want you to join me here for just a moment here as we are we're constantly looking for signs of encouragement. Mm-hmm. Number one, we talked about that significant tornado parameter.
Yep.
Not really, it's just low. Mm-hmm. The other thing is these are severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, I don't want to say just severe thunderstorm thunderstorm watches.
Yep.
That extends into North Georgia, but they're not issuing any new tornado watches.
Right.
So what you and I are going to be watching through the afternoon, we're already analyzing that significant tornado parameter that keeps us on the low end. But again, as we move into the struggle that we're having, we're moving into afternoon heating.
Right.
The timing is going to be at afternoon heating, but that might only be a few degrees warmer than we already are right now. It's not like we're getting up to 80 degrees, and that would really fuel these storms if we were going.
The more heat we have, the stronger those storms could be.
But we're at 66 right now. I think it says at the bottom of the screen. And we'll look at our temperatures in just a moment.
There you go.
But we're thinking about getting up to 69, 70.
Right.
Which, yeah, that's a little bit warmer. But when we're talking about optimum afternoon heating, it's not like it's crazy heat.
And that may be after the storm passes.
Yeah.
Because we'll get some breaks in the clouds, and that sun will probably help the heat us up. That's after that main line moves through. So even if we're talking 70, that may not be when the storms come through, which is probably why we're looking at those tornado parameters being lower.
So right now, a severe thunderstorm watch in northwest Georgia and back into Alabama. And they've even taken some counties out of that.
Right.
Earlier, it was all of North Alabama. So what we'll be watching for the rest of the morning hours and into the afternoon is, number one, analyzing that atmosphere. The Weather Service did put up a balloon, a special weather balloon. We're going to kind of look at some data that comes in from that. The atmosphere does look capped from what we're seeing so far, but it just depends on if there's going to be enough lift or instability to kind of bust through that cap if we see these storms fire up even more. So
typically happening more toward our summertime, that heating, that real strong heating, and we don't see that today.
Yeah.
And so may have a struggle trying to break through, but
so
could break through.
There's so many complex things that Chesley and I are looking at, and we don't just look at the convective outlook and just like, oh, look, we're level 3, it's going to be crazy. We look at so many different things, especially as these storms, as they're getting closer to us, and as we get closer to the system moving in, that's when we get more high resolution data coming in, and that's what the significant tornado parameter was showing us this morning, that it's a little on the lower end. So the whole point is, don't let your guard down. Any storms that move through, when we're talking about late March, early April storms, and a cold front coming through, a lot can happen with the atmosphere for them to turn severe with damaging winds, with any rotation that could develop with those storms too. And so what we're watching in the afternoon, number one, that line coming in, and whether or not, I do think they'll probably extend at least this severe thunderstorm watch or issue a new one into West Georgia, possibly into Metro Atlanta. But it'll be interesting to see if they keep it as a severe thunderstorm watch or if they decide to bring it up to a tornado watch. And I'm not seeing any indications of that they would do that right now, but it's the National Weather Service, it's the Storm Prediction Center. I mean, Chesley and I do this every day, but they're more, especially the Storm Prediction Center, more the experts on that severe weather.
We don't issue those.
We don't issue those watches, yes.
Contrary to popular belief, we don't issue those, they issue those, and we kind of go along with it. Not that we necessarily agree every time.
Exactly.
Right? We were talking about these storms last week, and we're saying, I don't know, maybe, but then they issue that, and we say, okay, they're seeing something that maybe we're not seeing, and so, we work together. We work together on these storms.
And that's a perfect example of, we held off issuing the alert. I mean, we want to issue our weather impact alerts as far as in advance as possible, but we also don't want to issue them unless we feel confident about it. And that's why we didn't issue a weather impact alert for Sunday.
Right.
Even though the Storm Prediction Center was showing parts of northwest Georgia, and we knew that would be later, but anyway, that's why we didn't issue an alert for Sunday, and I'm glad we didn't, because Sunday was not alert worthy. We just had a few scattered showers.
I saw in one of your updates you were saying that even as this storm gets a little bit closer, the timing will be changing. Right?
Yeah.
So that meant that if it came in earlier, say it came in this morning, probably less of a threat, right? Because we have no heating almost. We saw those thunderstorms die out. That line was disappearing back off to the west of us. And then as we got later in the morning, it started to fill in a little bit. Now, if that was happening over us at the same time that, in the wee hours of the morning, could have been the same thing for us. But now that we're getting into that, the storm is coming, slowing down a little bit. It's coming in a little bit later, right? And so that changed. Could be some more changes before it gets in here as well, this is one of them as well, with as far far as the intensity of the storm coming in. So yeah, you gotta stay on top of it. Right?
Exactly.
That's just the way it works.
And that's why we're here doing this extended coverage on 11 Alive Plus. And then we'll break into programming on 11 Alive as well when necessary, if any tornado warnings are issued. And of course, Chesley and I are going to have team coverage on our midday show at 11 o'clock too, during our newscast there. And of course, our extended coverage right here on 11 Alive Plus continuing. So Chesley, we'll get back over to you in just a little bit, but let me walk you through again that weather impact alert in effect through about 3 o'clock this afternoon for us here in the metro area. By 3-4 in the afternoon, that line of storms is already going to be east of Athens and east of the Lake Oconee area. We're going to see the main impacts being heavy rain, strong wind possible. And so what you need to do, just stay alert, prepare. Know that we're going to have storms moving through. Know that it's going to have some heavy rain. Know that it's going to have some thunder and lightning and some strong winds. And then there's that low risk of some tornadoes. We might have some tornado warnings here, and if that happens, we'll be breaking in on 11 Alive, the television station as well, as and stay with you here on 11 Alive Plus too. So make sure your phone, you have activated the wireless emergency alerts. And what happens with that is if your phone, and of course your phone is with you, if you're with your phone and you're in one of the polygons that they issue for a tornado warning, the phone or the cell towers and everything will sense your phone in that polygon and will send you an alert if you are in a warning. So sometimes, let's say a tornado warning is issued for, and I'll just use Cobb County as an example, and maybe your phone won't go off if you're living in South Cobb, but the warning is in effect for North Cobb. And people say, wait a minute, a warning was in Cobb County and my phone didn't go off. Why? Well, maybe you were on the south part of Cobb County, not in the warning, and that's why your phone didn't go off. But if your phone was in the polygon in North Cobb where the warning was issued, then it would go off. Again, there's no warning in Cobb. That's just an example here of what we're talking about. So make sure those wireless emergency alerts are activated on your phone. Download our 11 Alive app on your phone too and activate alerts there, and that'll let you know for the counties that are included in those. And the best thing is to have a National Weather Service radio. You can program your county in that and the counties around you, and it will alert you when storms are in your area. So that's one of the better things to have too. This is what Chesley and I have been talking about, those convective outlooks from from the Storm Prediction Center. And they have us in a level 3 of 5 risk for severe storms. And they're going to be updating this throughout the day. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to keep this as a level 3 risk for the rest of the day, or if they're going to bring that down and maybe shift the level 3 risk more down into central Georgia. We'll wait and see on that. Just depends on how these storms are reacting to that afternoon heating today, which is really just going to be a few degrees warmer than we are right now. Level 2 risk up in far north Georgia. Now it does look like earlier we had some green over far north Georgia, but now they've kind of put that level 2 risk to cover the rest of the North Georgia counties. And the differences there between a level 2 and a level 3 is that a level 2 risk is for more scattered severe thunderstorms. The level 3 risk is for a little more numerous severe thunderstorms with damaging winds and the potential for, again, that lower risk for any tornadoes that could develop there. So higher risk for heavy rain and also strong winds. The tornado risk is on the lower end, as well as the hail risk on the lower end. Now, we're not thinking we're going to have a tornado outbreak here today. We're going to have a line of storms moving through with heavy rain, damaging winds possible. I do think we'll have a few severe thunderstorm warnings. We may have a couple or two tornado warnings with that, because that tornado risk is on the lower end. And again, that hail risk is on the lower end too. So here's another look at that tornado environment. This takes us through 10 o'clock. I know it's really hard to see. You're not seeing a lot on this map. The only thing you're seeing are some of these white or gray colors showing up, and that is low on the scale for the tornado environment. Now, this isn't showing us exactly where tornadoes are going to occur. It just shows where the environment is a little more favorable for storms that could have rotation with them. It takes into account the shear in the atmosphere, the instability in the atmosphere, the upper level winds, the lower level winds with that too. and whether or not we can see any rotation developing with that. So as of right now, it is mainly showing those gray colors, and by 12:30, when that line is coming from West Georgia into Metro Atlanta, we see the gray colors here. Now, it's encouraging that we're not seeing any yellows or oranges or reds. That would mean that the environment is more favorable for rotating storms to develop. So again, this is a low-end threat for rotating thunderstorms or any tornadoes to develop. But again, it's not a zero threat. That's why we're on with you. That's why we're explaining this all to you as these showers and storms move through during the day. And then everything's out of here by later on this afternoon. Here's another look at those temperatures. Still 67 degrees here in Atlanta right now. We may only go up to 69, 70. So yes, the line moves in during afternoon heating, but that afternoon heating may only be a few degrees higher than where we are right now. So Chesley and I are going to keep an eye on those temperatures through the afternoon hours, but this is kind of showing us what we're talking about at noon, maybe up to 69, but then with some of that rain coming in, it may drop down a few degrees, and then once the rain ends, it might go back up to about 68 degrees when those showers end. But look at these rain chances. Noon and 2 o'clock, 100% chance for rain. And then by 4 o'clock, it's down to a 30% chance. So it's this window here. Let's say 11 o'clock, really 10 to 11 o'clock to noon in West Georgia, and then 11-ish to noon on the west side of town, the West Metro counties, through Metro Atlanta, noon to 1 to 2, and then watching it all exit once we get to the 4 o'clock hour, and those showers and storms will be over to the east of us. So again, we're watching the first bit of this rain coming in to North Georgia right now. We've been seeing a few of those showers in parts of North Georgia, but the bulk of that is still back into Alabama with that heavier shower activity that continues to move through, approaching Birmingham. So this is the part right here that we'll have to watch very closely, pushing into West Georgia and into those areas of West Georgia by 12 o'clock. So from Birmingham into Cleburne and Randolph County, that continues moving a little bit closer to us here, but West Georgia will be more under the gun once we get to 11 to 12, and then from 12 to 2, through West Georgia, right over Atlanta, we're thinking at the 2 o'clock hour, and that heavier rain from Metro Atlanta down to the south, and then it goes from here. This is going to jump from 2 to 4. Watch how it goes from here to here, already east of Athens and Eatonton once we get to the 4 o'clock hour, and then we're pretty much done with it. And then we'll see clouds clearing out here for the rest of the day. Ariana Manise is in Northwest Georgia right now in our weather impact tracker up near the Dalton area. And Ariana, you were telling us earlier how you've been experiencing just drizzle, and then you'll see a little bit more of a shower, and then it tapers off to drizzle again. Any changes that you're seeing there in Northwest Georgia now?
Well, Chris, just as you were talking, we started to see the rain pick up about 5 minutes ago. It was more that mist that we saw on our windshield. Take a look. You see the rain starting to come down a lot more. Right now we are driving north. The last time we talked, we were driving south past Dalton. We're moving north. We kind of looped around so we can kind of stay in this area so we can be here and be in position as the storm system moves through to really continue to see those changes. But overall, it's remained calm. Like I said, the rain has picked up, and then it will taper off. It go to that light mist, and then we'll start to see more steadier showers with heavier raindrops kind of just mixing in. And sometimes that mix can happen over the course of about 5 to 10 minutes. Now, like I said earlier this morning, we were on the road since like around 5 a.m. just driving northwest to really be in the area where we could start to see the kind of the conditions change. And we made our way all the way up to Tennessee. We went to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and around 7 a.m. this morning we started to see flashes of lightning that really gave us a preview of what's expected to come our way. We saw like flashes of lightning probably over the course of maybe 20 to 30 minutes. We kind of just start to see the rain kind of pick up a little bit more. Then we kind of parked and sat for like maybe like an hour, and it was just a steady mist that can just continue to come down. And the reason why we're on the road, because we kind of want to see how conditions change, because like you all said, the system is going to be moving into the Metro Atlanta area kind of in the middle of the day. And that's when road conditions can really change, and they change pretty quickly. We're expecting heavy wind gusts, heavy downpours, which can usually quickly lead to ponding on the roads, reduced visibility, really making travel conditions dangerous. So you really want to plan out in time when you do need to leave the house. I'm going to give you a shot of the roof so you can kind of see the raindrops on the camera up here. Right now we're just seeing some mists at the current moment. Visibility is fine as of right now. We see traffic is moving and flowing at this point. Right now it's just pretty cloudy in this area. Also a look at the road. You see the road is pretty much dry overall, but conditions are fine as of right now. Pretty calm. We're going to continue to drive north and kind of take our time, because as Chris has mentioned, Northwest Georgia is going to see that storm system hit first. We're going to take our time as we make our way up there to continue to track road conditions and see how they change over the next couple of hours. Back to you.
All right, Ariana, thank you so much for that update there in Northwest Georgia. And I'm gonna pitch to Julie in just a second, but I want to show you here what we're watching. 75 North and Northwest Georgia. She was mentioning areas like Dahlonega. They were up in Chattanooga. They went just up over the line and turned around. And so they're really in this area right here. And then just a couple of counties over from Ariana and her driver. I don't know who she's teamed with today, but they're as a team together. I don't know if it's JoJo or I think Stephen Boise is with her today. So yeah, so they are together in the car. Ariana is not driving. She is in the car with another person there. But just a couple of counties over into Dade County, that's where we have this really heavy rain that's coming in. So where they are located here on 75, they're about to get hit by this band of heavy rain. So we'll be going to them in just a little bit to show you how those conditions are changing. Again, just a couple of counties over is where we have that really heavy rain in Dade County, moving into Walker County. They're right up in this area here near Dalton, where they're going to see that heavier rain move in just a little bit. And again, that's going to keep pushing closer to us. There are some other spots in North Georgia where we do have a few of those spotty showers, but here in the metro area, it has been just that, a few spotty light showers. And that hasn't had a huge impact on the traffic. Julie Smith joins us right now. I know there are some slow spots around, but really that's just mainly because of volume, not really weather-related slow spots, even though people are having to turn their windshield wipers on here and there, right?
That's absolutely right, Chris. And the interesting thing is, between now and the last time I was on, the volume is even less. So that's a good thing, but it's all about monitoring. So right now, I want to point out where Ariana was, more to the west, where it's coming from, as you said. Right now, I'm over in Gwinnett County, further east of that. So what I'm pointing out right now, as you said, is just the current traffic conditions. Southbound on I-85 here at Beaver Ruin Road, that's really as intense as it gets out there right now. But Ariana mentioned things do change quickly, so that's why it's all about monitoring, and I'm keeping my eye on these maps. That area I just showed you, that's why we see the orange right through here, but as you can see, it's nothing, really causing a lot of issues, but I'm seeing a lot of green on the map. Right now, northbound on the downtown connector, right at I-20, a little slowing here, but that eases up before you even get to North Avenue. So it's really quiet out there right now. That is a good thing. You do see the drive times on the downtown connector here showing up in orange, but again, I'm sitting at my desk at my computer just kind of scanning those maps and scanning information that we get from GDOT to see if any of these red spots start popping up, because I definitely expect that to happen when the rain does come, and that's why this monitoring and preparing yourself is so important. Of course, we're keeping an eye on things, but folks at home, they're doing the right thing by tuning in to 11 Alive Plus to be prepared if you do have to get on the road by the time that rain hits us. Chris?
And Julie, one thing to look at, I know that Ariana has us covered here along 75. I don't know if we have any traffic cameras there in Dade County along Interstate 59, that little part in far northwest Georgia, right here. That would be interesting to see. That's where that heaviest rain, I don't know if you have any traffic cameras up there. Highway 59, Dade County, northwest Georgia.
I'm going to go take a look.
Far northwest corner. So yeah, Julie's going to check on that. And then, of course, Ariana's got us covered in North Georgia, but also we might be watching those cameras up 75 there in Northwest Georgia throughout the morning hours, too. But that is that leading edge coming in now to northwest Georgia. And again, Dade and Walker County, we've been talking about those here. That's really the Chattanooga viewing area, but we know that that is Georgia. We know you're interested in that. And we watch what's happening in Dade, Walker, Whitfield, and Murray counties, because eventually that will move into the counties we're responsible for here over in Gilmer County, Fannin County, parts of Murray County, as well as these storms that'll be pushing into spots of Chattooga County, Floyd County, also into parts of Gordon County near Calhoun. Those are the areas right now that I want you to be on alert for watching those storms as they move in here. Here is a look at what I want to show you here. Rome, our tower cam that's going to show up behind me. Oh, there's that traffic camera from Dade County at White Oak Gap, showing some of that rain that's moving through there on State Road 136. And you see the raindrops on the lens, and the roads are pretty wet there. It looks like there's probably some good ponding there on those roads too, with some of that heavy rain that is moving through those spots there in northwest Georgia and Dade County. There's a car going through there, not really telling. I don't think they're hitting any big time puddles there, but hopefully they're all slowing down there on Highway 136. But that just goes to show you, yes, there is rain in northwest Georgia there in parts of Dade County. Now let's come back here, and I want to show you, this is Rome, our tower cam there. The flags were blowing a little more briskly in Rome earlier. We've got some dark clouds in Rome. No rain there yet, but Floyd County will be next in line for some of these storms coming out of Alabama that'll be moving into the Rome area. So we've got you covered, not only with our weather impact tracker there with Ariana and Stephen in that tracker, but we also have some of those traffic cameras we're watching, and it's just now there in Dade County, right along Interstate 59, and then that stretches along 59 down to Birmingham. So the heaviest part of the storm has just moved through Birmingham, but we don't see any warnings with that. No severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings with it, and that is a good sign. That's not to say that that's going to be the same case when it moves into West Georgia and into the Metro Atlanta area, because we could see, again, just a few degrees of heating may kind of fire these storms up a little bit more. It's going through Birmingham during the morning hours when things are a little more stable. Even into western Alabama earlier, we had a few tornado warnings there, west of Birmingham, north of Tuscaloosa, but into Birmingham, things are okay now. Again, heavy rain and some gusty winds, but as this moves closer to Cleburne and Randolph County, we think it would be there by between 11 and noon, most likely. Here we are coming up closer to the 10 o'clock hour here on 11 Alive and 11 Alive Plus. So that'll be moving in, we're thinking 11 to noon into Cleburne and Randolph County. Then into West Georgia in the noontime hour, noon to 2 approaching Atlanta, let's say 1 to 2 to 3 through Atlanta, and we think by 3 o'clock it'll be east of Atlanta. Then by 4 o'clock we think it is going to be east of Athens and east of Lake Oconee, with that heaviest part of the storm pushing on through. Right now, even though that main line is coming into northwest Georgia at this hour there in Dade and Walker counties, we do have showers ahead of that, some of those with some pockets of heavy rain in parts of Fannin County here. You can see these, a couple of moderate to heavier showers, also into Union County, near Blair, south of Blairsville, northern Lumpkin County, seeing some of those showers. In the North Metro area, just a little bit of green showing up here, really just a few light showers over the North Metro region, just enough to dampen the road, to give you a couple of raindrops on your windshield. But here is that main part, the main line, the main event, now in northwest Georgia, Dade and Walker counties here, stretching right along Interstate 59. Aniana here, there's Gadsden, Albertville, it's already moved through. It's stretching down toward Birmingham. That's about to cross over Interstate 59. Then the next step will be this going through Dade, Walker, into Catoosa, and then over into Whitfield County. So that's where Ariana Manise is in this area along 75 now. So we'll check back into them in a little bit. Speaking of this right here, let's go to another traffic camera we have right now up in Trenton, Georgia. Again, showing some of the rain that's in Trenton. This is along Highway 136 near the Pace area. Here comes a car going pretty quick there through that interstate. Looks like they're slowing down just a little bit, but the roads are wet. You can see the new raindrops that are hitting the lens and dripping there on that lens too. So this is the rain that is in northwest Georgia right now. Not particularly crazy, but just some good heavy rain. As that the headlights kind of illuminate the street there, you can see some of those drops hitting the street there, showing some of that rain a little heavier into that intersection there near the Trenton area in northwest Georgia, again near Dade and also Walker County. So that's what we're watching here on radar. That part right here, the Trenton area is right up in this area with some of that heavier rain. Menlo is right down here, right along the Alabama-Georgia line, moving into parts of Chattooga County. They're going to be next for that. And then, of course, that line pushing down into the Birmingham area. And again, Chesley, we're encouraged by the fact that we don't really have any severe thunderstorm warnings with this. The only advisories we have are in northwest Georgia, where we have a severe thunderstorm watch for far northwest Georgia for Dade, Walker, Chattooga, and also Catoosa counties. Here's that live look again that we're watching. You can see our 11 Alive weather impact tracker there right now. As Chesley's standing by, I think we have Dan Kennedy ready as well. Is that correct? Dan has been talking to Georgia Power and GEMA. Dan, what did you just find out in that interview as they are preparing for this storm to move in? All right, I think we don't have Dan's mic there. So we'll get his mic up in just a minute here, and we'll make sure that we have that information that he just got in from that interview. Meanwhile, let's head over to Chesley. You know, Chesley, that line is impacting a lot of people here in the southeast, and there's a lot of lightning with it too.
There's a lot of lightning with it as well, as you just mentioned. And I was looking at the National Weather Service. They're going to confirm with the Storm Prediction Center. They're looking at the area just north of Atlanta that extends all the way down into parts of the Panhandle of Florida. 93% that they will extend a watch, the severe thunderstorm watch, or either a tornado watch into parts of our area momentarily. So they're going to confirm with them, talk to them, and then hash that out, and likely will extend the watch that we have out there. That is a severe thunderstorm watch that we have in effect, which means we're watching for the potential for severe thunderstorms to pop up. We had numerous, in fact, severe thunderstorm warnings with this same line over toward northern parts of Mississippi. Some of those extended into Alabama. In fact, there was a tornado warning associated with one coming out of Mississippi going into Alabama. As it has been moving through central Alabama, a lot of that has started to die out. The tornado watch that we had up here to the north, they let that drop. And then a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings have dropped. Most of that have been now down to the south. In fact, if you take a look now, we're not seeing much at all in the way of any severe weather down there, at least warnings right now down to the south. And so most of that up here to the north is mainly lightning, numerous energy, lots of energy associated with a lot of these thunderstorms. Sometimes you'll find that, and if you look at this, the lightning strikes are becoming less numerous up here to the far north and starting to extend a little bit further down here to the south, where you have numerous lightning strikes over in the southern portions of Alabama. So we're watching this right now, starting to see the far northwestern counties experience some of that heavy rain over toward Dade, Walker County right now. That's where it's starting to push in. We'll continue to watch this slide further over to the east. Should be down toward our southern counties, like Polk County, for example, probably around the 11 o'clock hour, and then into the metro area between 1-2 o'clock this afternoon, where the heaviest rain and the strongest winds will be. I'm being told we need to toss it over to you, Chris.
All right, Chesley, you were just talking about that. Chesley was referencing that mesoscale convective discussion that just came out, and I'm going to slowly just kind of draw this on here. He mentioned, and so look behind me, and I'm just going to kind of draw this on here. Chesley mentioned an area where there's a 95% chance, and this is going to be a rough drawing that I've got here. Well, let me do that again because I just went off screen. But and I'm going to widen out just a little bit more. But what they do is they highlight an area for a better chance for any watches to be issued. And again, I'm going to show you this, and it's kind of hard to draw live on air, but it pretty much goes to this area right here down toward the Panhandle, coming back up through central Georgia, including parts of North Georgia. This is the area that convective outlook is showing in that mesoscale convective discussion from the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center is showing where we have that 95% chance of a new watch to be issued, showing that this part of the atmosphere is still stable enough and still conducive for these strong thunderstorms. Now, what's going to be interesting is they're just saying watch likely. They're not saying if it would be a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch. It's just a 95% chance that a watch is likely. So this is going to be the area that includes much of North Georgia and the Metro Atlanta area down into Central and South Georgia, where we are most likely going to see the new watch, and it most likely could come out at any time. So again, that's just a rough drawing of what we are watching out there for that potential for storms moving in. I believe Dan Kennedy is ready now. Dan, I know you just got off the phone and things are moving pretty quickly here in the newsroom of how we're getting ready for these storms to move in. But you just talked with folks from Georgia Power and GEMA and how they're preparing for this line moving in.
Yeah, so we've heard from Georgia Power. They say they are keeping a close eye on these storms, Chris. They say they have power crews on standby, ready to go out. Their linemen are ready to work on restoring power should we see widespread power outages as these storms sweep through the Peach State today. Also talked with Georgia Electric Membership Corporation about what they're doing, and they remind everybody, if your power goes out today, don't assume they know about it. So if it goes out, give Georgia Power a call or give your local EMC a call. And here's some more of what they told me in that interview.
Well, EMCs in Georgia are very accustomed to these spring thunderstorms that pop up. It's a very cyclical time of year for these spring storms, strong storms. And EMCs are constantly monitoring the weather. So our EMCs are getting extra materials on hand, power poles, transformers, anything to help rebuild power lines that may be damaged during the storm, and just constantly keeping an eye on that.
Now, if somebody's power does go out today, what do they need to do?
Yes, if power goes out in your area, you need to contact your local EMC. Just search your local EMC's website and look at their outage reporting information there.
Now, I also talked to Georgia Emergency Management within the last few moments. They say they are monitoring the weather today. They have not yet activated their Emergency Operations Command Center, but they will do so, they said, if the weather warrants it, if it gets bad enough. Chris, GEMA also notes that Georgia's greatest threats from severe thunderstorms, as you know, are straight line winds and large hail. They say those winds hit about 75 days a year in Georgia, according to GEMA. Of course, most common in the spring and summer. And here we are in the spring, gearing up for one of those strong to severe thunderstorms today.
And Dan, that's what we have to watch. And I know you grew up in the Chattanooga area, right? So you are very familiar with the way these storms are going into the springtime months. Whenever we have a front coming through, especially the end of March, beginning of April, we have to watch for any kind of weather that could be in association with those. So Dan, thanks for that new information from GEMA as well as in Georgia Power. And again, now it's just we're in the wait and see mode as Chesley and I are tracking these storms that are moving through. We do have a new special statement. Again, not a severe thunderstorm warning, but a special statement in from the National Weather Service talking about these storms that Chesley and I have already really been telling you about in Dade and Walker County. We showed you the tower, or not the tower cams, the traffic cams in Dade and Walker County confirming the heavy rain. They're saying this line of strong thunderstorms along the line extending from Lookout Mountain near Cloudland Canyon State Park to Sulphur Springs, moving to the east at about 30 miles an hour. The main hazards we have in association with that, 40-mile-per-hour winds, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, and the heavy rain with that. So again, moving to the east at about 30 miles an hour, that would be these storms right here into Dade and Walker. I'll just do a quick track on these storms right now at about 30 miles an hour. Moving to the east, that would take those storms into Chickamauga at about 1020, which is just in the next few minutes here. Rock Spring, Ringgold actually at 1052, Catoosa Springs at 1101, and then into Dalton, we think by 1118, when that heaviest bit of that rain is going to be moving through those areas of northwest Georgia. So this is just the beginning of that elongated line that we have been talking about with you pretty much all morning long here on 11 Alive Plus, as the storms continue to move in from Alabama in northwest Georgia now, but I'm going to just kind of widen out and concentrate on this is the part in northwest Georgia now. and then that goes right along Interstate 59 back to Birmingham, and now these heavier showers just to the east of Birmingham along I-20. And then here we are in Atlanta. We are fine here in Atlanta. So even though we're talking about storms in northwest Georgia, we still have a while before those storms back in Birmingham get in here. Think if you're in your car driving from Birmingham to Atlanta, it's about a 2.5 hour drive, and that's if you're going 60 or 70 miles an hour. These storms are not as moving as fast as that, so it's still going to be a while before these storms move in. We think it would be into West Georgia here, this part of the storm, into West Georgia, closer to the noontime hour, 11:30 to noon, maybe here in Cleburne and Randolph County, crossing over the line into West Georgia, and then that going between noon and 2 o'clock here to Metro Atlanta. So it's going to be a while, but while this is still taking a while to get to Atlanta, we have this that's going to be covering North Georgia. So we're going to be really watching this for our viewers and our friends and residents up in North Georgia here as that line moves through. Again, nothing severe, no severe thunderstorm warnings with this right now, but that's not to say we won't get any severe thunderstorm warnings because it is possible that we could see some with this system moving through. And again, the bigger question is, no tornado warnings with this too, but as Chesley and I have been telling you, as this line moves in the heat of the day, even though the day is not going to be much warmer this afternoon than it is now, it may just be 3, 4, 5 degrees warmer this afternoon than it is now, but that could be enough heating to kind of make things a little more active here for the afternoon hours with a little more instability, a little more heating kind of feeding that. Chesley, you kind of feel the same way about that?
That's absolutely right. I've been looking closely, Chris, at the lightning strikes with this, and we had numerous lightning strikes back off to them. I'm just focused on the northern part of this. You can see where we had numerous lightning strikes, and now as it's pushing a little bit further toward the east, it's starting to lose some of that energy as it begins to cross over I-59. So we'll watch that as well. Certainly that heavy rain is going to be with us, and certainly the gusty winds will be with us as well, but interesting that that's starting to lose some of it. I do, and we talked about this earlier as well, realize that sometimes the energy could be transferred to a stronger part of the storm. We got lots of lightning strikes headed toward the Montgomery, Alabama area, and you can see that here. Nothing severe, not right now at least. This line does have a history of producing at least tornadoes and also severe thunderstorms as well, and so something that we'll have to keep watching for. Now, we talk about the daytime heating, or as the sun begins to rise in the sky, when you get the maximum heating, that could add some energy. Our clouds are pretty thick. Chris and I was looking at that as well, and we got a little bit of pre-rain, a little light rain that's pushing into the area. That will help us out just a little bit as well. It may not be until it gets just to the east of us where you see these breaks in the clouds down toward the Macon area, and then further down to the south where you got a little bit more heating, that these could start to fire up again. It's still from just north of Atlanta all the way down past Macon, where we're under a level 3 threat or an enhanced risk for severe weather. So anywhere in that area is where we could see some of the stronger storms, and maybe that will be down to the south and east of us, maybe down toward the Macon area. But right now, that those lightning strikes, the thunderstorms, are starting to push further into our state. As Chris mentioned a little bit earlier, that 95% possibility that a watch will be extended over toward the east. Could be a severe thunderstorm watch box that extends a little further over to the east, or a tornado watch that could be extended. So something that we're looking out for, and we'll wait for the National Weather Service to update us on that. But right now, we're looking at, again, numerous lightning strikes off to the west. Not a whole lot going on in our state. You notice just north of Murrayville here, where we had a little cell produce some thunderstorms, and then one right behind it. So you had one up there to the north over toward Union County into Towns County, and now another one coming right behind that. 1 or 2, maybe 3 lightning strikes associated with that. That's been about it so far, folks. So again, we're going to continue to monitor this as we go along. Just now entering into Dade, Walker County is where you find a few of those thunderstorms that are just now pushing through. This mainly will continue toward the east, and so it will push into Dalton, eventually into Ellijay, up toward Fannin County, Young, Harris, Clayton. That's where that's going. And ours, or what will be hitting the metro area a little bit further down to the south. So when you're talking about Cedartown, Dallas, into maybe Smyrna. That's going to come a little bit later. I'm suspecting around the noon hour, 1, 2 o'clock hour is when we'll see that. We are just after 10 o'clock and still have a long ways to go with this system. It's probably going to be with us at least through about 3 o'clock this afternoon before a lot of that energy begins to switch or shift further over toward the east. And so something to monitor for you as we go along. Still a possibility for that very heavy rain. There could be obviously some frequent lightning associated with these thunderstorms that are pushing closer to our area, and the possibility for tornadoes. If we see one, it would be a brief spin up, Chris. We're not expecting to see long track tornadoes out of this at all.
Yeah, we don't think it's going to be a big time tornado outbreak, like numerous tornadoes or anything like that. You see there on the side of the screen, that is our 11 Alive weather impact tracker. Ariana Manise is in northwest Georgia right now. You can see that heavier rain coming down. Ariana, where exactly are you in northwest Georgia?
Right now we're in Oglethorpe. Boise, yeah, we are in Oglethorpe. We kind of pulled off and got off the highway to try to drive on more so the side roads to see what conditions are like. And just when we pulled off, we really started to see the rain come down a lot more. It started to get really dark in this area. So we're kind of starting to see the conditions starting to pick up. You see the wind, you see the American flag blowing in the wind. It's actually like just sitting up, the wind is blowing so strong over here. The rain is a lot heavier. I'm going to give you a look at the road. You see the roads, you're starting to see more water build up. And this is what we were monitoring and really trying to position ourselves to see, waiting for this system to move in northwest Georgia. This is the top part of our truck to give you like a wide angle view of what we're seeing at this point. I'm going to turn the camera around so you guys can see. Starting to see people kind of like slow down a bit more as this rain is starting to pick up, and visibility has definitely been reduced, which is once again something that we've been cautioning about, really trying to tell people to just stay off the roads if they can, and if they do have to travel. Once again, you see our windshield wipers picking up a lot more. It is darker the more we move into town, move into this area. When we were on the highway, it was a little lighter, I would say, and now we're starting to see, once again, the rain really starting to pick up more consistently, heavier raindrops hitting our windshield at this point, and we are taking our time and we are driving slowly because we are starting to see more water pick up on the roads. The rain is and the windshield wipers are struggling to keep up at this point. So this is kind of what we've been waiting to see and really positioning ourselves to kind of get a preview of what we can expect when the system moves into the metro and moves into the city. And it's really kind of getting a little bit harder to hear you, Chris, because the rain is hitting the windshield and hitting the cars so much more than what we've been seeing all morning.
All right, Ariana, stay here with me for just a moment because I want to, and I don't know if you can see our video here, but I want you to see on radar what we're talking about. You mentioned there's Fort Oglethorpe right here, and that's where Ariana is located. They mentioned they were on 75. She said they took some side roads. It must have been along here Highway 2 or either Highway 41 there, over toward Fort Oglethorpe, where they're located right now. And this is where we're seeing that red come in. So all morning long, Ariana has been telling you they've been positioning themselves in northwest Georgia to be in the spot that's getting hit first with this rain. And that's what they're showing you right now in northwest Georgia. That is the heavier rain that's coming in to the Fort Oglethorpe area. Ariana said that's where they were located here, taking some of those side roads. So here is 75. This is just to the west of 75. Here's Chickamauga. There's Little, Chattanooga Valley, Hayesville. So I wanted to zoom in tight to that. Now let me widen out just a little bit more to give you a little bit more perspective here, and then I'll widen out a little bit more to show how this is related to Atlanta. Here's Dalton in northwest Georgia. Again, this is up 75, going up into northwest Georgia, into parts of Tennessee, and up closer to Chattanooga. So as expected, and this is why we sent Ariana all the way to northwest Georgia, to be in that area that was hit first by some of the heavier rain. And that's what we're watching now in Dade County and Walker County, from Trenton over to Chattanooga Valley, getting closer to Boynton and Rock Springs and Lafayette. Okay, so that's that heaviest rain that is moving in right now. And they may want to start going back towards 75 so they can watch it as it gets in along the interstate and then really kind of follow it, kind of hanging out in North Georgia, and then kind of follow it down as it continues moving in. But this still is going to be a process for this heavier rain to push on through here, but that is just that leading edge. Now, here is where Ariana is in relation to where we are in Atlanta. Here's Atlanta here. This is all the way up 75 in northwest Georgia. So it's this area here that we're watching, that first part of that heaviest rain moving in right now. And again, it's pretty much that, heavy rain and some thunder and lightning. We have a few lightning strikes with that. Chesley's been kind of monitoring that up in northwest Georgia, and a lot more lightning back into Alabama. But this is the line that's moving through right along Interstate 59 through Alabama. So it's in Dade and Walker County now. That's going to move into Catoosa County and then into Whitfield County with that heavier rain along 75. Then all of this will move into southern parts of Walker County, into Chattooga County, and here's Floyd. There's Rome right now, the northern parts of Floyd County. So it's just this line is going to hit them first, and then all of this keeps moving this way. Eventually, that moves into Cleburne and Randolph County in Alabama, into Alabama. And then eventually moving along I-20, getting into Atlanta. But it's still just going to take a while. So this is the part back in Birmingham that we still have to wait till it gets here into Metro Atlanta. We're thinking that's going to be around the lunchtime hour for the Metro Atlanta area to see those heavier showers and thunderstorms moving in. We are still also waiting for the National Weather Service. Did they issue a new one there, Chesley?
Saying that a watch is likely to be issued there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me show here. Let me see if expires. Okay, let me see if this is updated on our maps yet. The thunderstorm watch.
I don't think you've issued it yet.
Okay, so what happens is the Storm Prediction Center, okay, there we see those few counties right here.
Yep,
they may kind of, and is it still 1 o'clock expiration, I believe?
I think so.
Yeah, 1 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time. So they have, and this is a new, they've extended it. This isn't really a new watch, they've extended the previous one. Okay, that's what we were wondering. So earlier, this watch was mainly for Dade, Walker, Chattooga, and Catoosa counties. Again, to expire at 1 o'clock. Well, they have now added in some counties. This is now in effect for more counties there in North Georgia. It goes as far south, and I'm going to kind of clean this up here for you here in just a second once it zooms in there. So it is now, instead of Dade, Walker, Catoosa, and Chattooga, it now extends down to Carroll County there in I-20. It includes Haralson and Paulding. Then it goes up to these areas of Bartow County and Cherokee County, and then into Pickens County, Gilmer and Fannin counties here. Murray, Whitfield County, you're in it now. Gordon County is in it, and I mentioned Bartow County. So new counties now have been added into this severe thunderstorm watch that is going to be in effect until 1 o'clock. So it's the same watch we were telling you about earlier, but the Storm Prediction Center has just added more counties to it. We could still see a new watch that will be issued that could include the Metro Atlanta area. So that's what we're going to be waiting. But the key with this is that they're not issuing a new tornado watch. It is still a severe thunderstorm watch. And I don't want to say just a severe thunderstorm watch, because that is something to take seriously as well, because we did have tornado warnings in the severe thunderstorm watch back in Alabama earlier. So it is possible that we could still see mainly heavy rain, damaging wind with a severe thunderstorm watch, but it is still possible that we can see some isolated tornadoes with that. So that's the latest that we just got in. Let's go to Julie Smith right now, keeping an eye on the roads here in Atlanta, and you are also watching some of those cameras in northwest Georgia.
That's right. I right now am in Walker County. This GDOT camera showing State Route 1 at McFarland Avenue. And again, just to get a visual of how wet the roads are in that area, to remind folks, you know, the most important tool you have aside from proper working equipment, windshield wipers and tires, is time. So if you have to get out in this weather with the roads this wet, you need to have plenty of extra time so that you're not rushing, so that you can take your time. So I just wanted to give that reminder. Then coming back in here to Atlanta, I did want to point out this accident. It's on the ramp from I-20 westbound to 285 northbound. You can see that is, it's actually, sorry, it's an a stalled vehicle. So right now, not a big, huge delay, but again, that's westbound. But you can see a little bit of a delay here eastbound on I-20 as you approach 285, just for a small stretch. I'll take a closer look and see what's going on there. But again, I cannot stress it enough. Give yourself plenty of time to get to where you're going so you can just kind of cruise along and watch out for the other drivers around you as well. Chris.
All right, Julie, thanks so much for keeping an eye on those cameras in Northwest Georgia. As many eyes as we have on these storms is very helpful, and of course we can then let you know what we're seeing out there too. And Chesley and I are looking at more than just radar. We're looking at the atmosphere in different levels. We're looking at different computer model data coming in, tornado parameters, and also those visuals from our tower cams and from those traffic cameras really help to confirm what we're seeing here on radar, as well as Ariana up in Northwest Georgia in our weather impact tracker. So here in Atlanta, again, we're okay. Just a few spotty light showers here and there on the north side as well. A couple of spots up in far north Georgia where things are looking a little more active. I'm going to pitch it back to Chesley. He and I are going to be staying with you until about 10:30. We're going to take a little break. We'll keep the maps up for you. We're going to regroup before our 11 o'clock midday show, midday newscast, and we're going to have team coverage for you again coming up at 11 o'clock tonight, and then continuing as long as we need to, not 11 o'clock tonight, but 11 o'clock this morning. Then we're going to continue as long as we need to through those lunchtime hours and into the afternoon, whether or not that's going to be on streaming here at 11 Alive Plus, or whether we'll need to break into programming on 11 Alive for any additional cut-ins if we have any warnings or anything there. But Chesley, we've been watching this. You've been on air since 4:30 this morning, keeping an eye on those storms coming in from Alabama. Now is the time. They're entering our state. And it's going to be a process for all of this to pass through before we're in the clear later on this afternoon.
That's absolutely right. They're taking their time getting on in here, but they eventually will. And we said around the noon hour is that when that's going to take place, or at least the lunchtime hours is when that's going to take place. 11 o'clock this morning through about 3 o'clock this afternoon is when we'll see that. And we're already starting to see it move into our far northwestern counties. Earlier this morning was thinking it would move into Dade, Walker County around 8, 9 o'clock. And we're just starting to see that around the 10 o'clock hour has pushed in. They've already seen some rain push through that area already. And now you can see where that main line of showers and thunderstorms are now just starting to get over there, and that will continue to push through. It's along that line where we'll see some of those gusty winds. So far, those winds have been below severe criteria, which means those winds have been in the 40-mile-per-hour range, maybe up to about 50. We haven't seen it get over 58. Once it gets up to about 58, 60 miles per hour, that's when you'll see severe thunderstorm warnings being issued. And some of those, we had numerous of those back off to the west of us, and has since begun to die out just a little bit. Much of the energy with the severe weather has begun to shift a little bit further down to the south, down toward parts of southern Mississippi. We've been watching that as well. And so we're waiting for more of this to pop up. Now, also thinking about the daytime heating, we talked extensively about that so far this morning. We're not going to see our temperature rise that much because of the cloud cover that's over us. We've had a few areas of drizzle and light rain so far in the area. And so hopefully that will help to keep us a little bit more on the stable side, which is why we're not thinking a higher threat or even a medium threat at this point for tornadic activity to be around. We can't rule it out, of course. There could be a brief spin up or two, but for the most part, we're just looking at those damaging winds along with that heavy rain that's going to continue to push further into our area. This is what we're seeing so far. Again, some scattered showers. We had a couple of lightning strikes associated with it, and now you can see in southern parts of Walker County where we can see just a little bit of one lightning strike now starting to pop up. We're expecting more of this to be the case as we head further into our 10:30, 10:45 hour, we'll start to see more of those lightning strikes, more of those thunderstorms pushing in, and then eventually making its way a little bit further down to the south. There you go. That's a better look at it right there, where you can see some of those lightning strikes start to enter into our far northwestern counties. A lot of that activity this morning has been up into parts of Tennessee. They haven't had, or I didn't see any warnings up into Tennessee, but certainly had numerous lightning strikes along with these thunderstorms, and now we're starting to get in on some of that as well. Back towards Cedar Bluff in Alabama, you can see where there is some very heavy rain. This is starting to turn a little bit more isolated as far as the line goes, where it was almost a straight line going down. As it's pushing closer to us, starting to break up just a little bit. We've been looking for the good signs. Chris and I have been looking for the good signs, and we found a couple of them, and I would say this is one of them as well as the line continues to push in. This is a huge system. It extends all the way up into parts of Canada with some snow there, and then you got some rain once you get down toward New York, Pennsylvania, and that extends all all the way down into Louisiana, where now they have, again, that's where the severe thunderstorm warnings have been. These yellow boxes or gold boxes that you see are the severe thunderstorm watches that are in effect. You got it for southern parts of Alabama, central portions of Alabama, and now extending into our state, where it has just been extended to include more parts of our area, and likely will be extended a little bit further over toward the east as well. Back behind us, where we had that rain, those thunderstorms now starting to clear out in places like Mississippi, central Alabama right now getting the rain. We'll get in on this, and then eventually that will get out of the way. I suspect the rain will be gone from our area by about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, or at least well east of us by that point, unless it starts to slow down even more. This is even a better look at how some of this is starting to break up, where we had a strong line of showers and thunderstorms up here to the north. That's now starting to break down just a little bit. Some moderate rain back behind that, so that could lead to more of the flooding that could take place in our area. So something that's we'll monitor for you. The front itself still back off to the west. As that moves through, could be some more showers, Chris, that begin to pop up. So again, we'll be right here to monitor it for you all afternoon long.
And Chesley, you mentioned the lightning with that. I want you to, everybody, remember this number here, 541. That's how many lightning strikes we have in a 15-minute period in this red box back into Alabama. And so what we'll do is we'll stay kind of in this range and keep a track of those lightning counts. And what we're going to be watching for is to see if that count comes down. That'll be one of our indicators of some weakening as it moves in. But if that count starts coming up, that'll be an indicator that these storms are ramping up a little bit. And that is the possibility as we get past these morning hours to the warmer sector here, the warmer part of the day, if that's going to start feeding these storms a little bit more to give us some higher lightning numbers. So just kind of, that'll be our baseline as we come back to you at 11 o'clock this morning here. We'll kind of take another look at that during our midday program. As we're watching it, again, these storms continue to push in to northwest Georgia. That strongest part is in Dade, Walker, moving into Catoosa counties right now there in northwest Georgia, and into parts of Chattooga County coming into Summerville. I believe there's a tower cam that we have, or one of the traffic cameras in Catoosa County. That's over near Cross Street there, U.S. State Route 2. Over in parts of Catoosa County. So that's just showing, again, confirming what we're showing you on radar, this heavy rain that continues to move on through. So we'll put this into motion. You can see all of that rain that's moving through. Again, the heaviest stuff is through Birmingham. Now the next stop is going to be Cleburne and Randolph counties, and then that'll move into the metro area. Again, thinking that will be closer to around the 11 o'clock noon, or really the noontime to 2 o'clock hour here for the metro area as these storms continue to push on through. So stay with us here at 11 Alive Plus and on 11 Alive. We have that extension of the thunderstorm watch, including more counties there on the west side. We will join you again. We'll keep the maps up on your screen here at 11 Alive Plus. You can watch the radar, and then we'll have more team coverage for you at 11 on 11 Alive Plus and on 11 Alive News.